The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the individual guests. If you're a sensitive snowflake that may get easily offended, then turn this off immediately. If you want to hear the real truth about the gun culture, then stick around. This is the Armed Citizen Podcast. What is going on, my Go Squad? Welcome to the Armed Citizen Podcast Live. We are live, as always, over on YouTube and on Facebook. If you're out there, go ahead and say something, because we don't know that you're out there unless you do comment. But that's what this is about, is having the live comments and all of that stuff. So if you're out there, please say hello. If you're new to the channel, new to the show, then let us know that you're out there first time and where you're from. We'll give you a shout out and all of that. If you would like to, you can call. Yes, you can call. You can call or text into the show on the Ghost Tactical Hotline, presented by our good friends Rod and Shelly Gates at theguncleaners.com. Theguncleaners.com. Come and clean it. That's the lube. They've got lube and cleaner solvent. So it's one of those that it's what we use to clean all of our stuff with. And we're very, very thankful for Rod and Shelly. They're great friends of ours personally, but also great friends of the channel and the show. If you're a veteran out there and you're in that hole and you're in the darkness and you don't know if you can find the light and you need someone to talk to, first of all, please reach out to me 24/7. Call, text, email, whatever. Find me 24/7. I cannot give you medical advice, but I can sure as hell listen and maybe talk you through some stuff and see if we can get to see another day, because that's really what it is day to day. If you're looking for medical advice or someone that can point you in the right direction to get some medical help, please understand two things. Number one, you're not alone. You're not alone. Number two, this world is a much better place with you in it. So reach out to the Veteran Crisis Hotline, 1-800-273-8255. Once again, 1-800-273-8255. If you're watching live or in the video, it is scrolling down below. Please get some help. We're always here to help you. If you want to find out more information about what it takes to earn the title United States Marine, visit the website, www.marines.com. So we are going to bring in a few people, and we're going to have a good discussion tonight. This was brought up by a month or two ago. I don't know if you called, text, or email, whatever. And we start talking about patriotism and what is a patriot. And I thought that's a really good idea. And I wanted to kind of get far enough away from the election and all of that stuff to really give it its due. And so we're glad he's joining us tonight, all the way from Pennsylvania, the tactical pancake himself, Midnight Range TM. What's up, Holmes?
Hey, what's going on, buddy? What's happening?
Oh, just another day. You know, literally a week ago today, it was -3 degrees, and it was 68 degrees today. Go figure. I don't understand.
Yeah, I know. We got a bunch of snow again the other day, and it was short-lived. By the afternoon, it was starting to melt out. So it's not too bad up here yet. We're above freezing, you know.
Yeah, it's we had 21 inches of snow, I believe, is what we got. 21 inches of snow, and it's gone now. So go figure. Who knows? And from the great state of Texas, the tactical leprechaun himself. What's up, Clove?
Hey, man.
Everything good with you?
All is good, yeah.
Yeah, I saw you guys went on a little roadie yesterday for that guy's wife's birthday celebration. Did you have fun?
Yeah. Always fun going on road trips and just goofing off more than anything.
There you go. Good to see a lot of people out there. Like I said, make sure you say something out there. We don't know if you're out there. Now, Moo's giving you hell, Trav. He says, come on, loser, get an avatar. So,
yeah, I have it when I'm on mobile. My screen shows up. On here, it's not. So I must have something backwards. I very rarely join when I'm at home. I'm very rarely at home. So what the hell? I don't know.
This is true. It is what it is. Before we get going, we have started the Jarhead podcast, and so far, it's been a pretty big success. I'm really happy, and a lot of people seem to be enjoying it. We've got another episode releasing Thursday. If you're on Patreon or a channel member, then you're already getting those. Tomorrow night, I am recording a podcast with Charlie Melton, good friend of ours. Clover's been down with us down there to train and hang out with Charlie for a few days, but he is a 20-plus year Navy SEAL sniper. He was the instructor, the marksman and sniper instructor for Chris Kyle, American Sniper. So it'll be a great talk tomorrow night. Got a lot of people in the works working on another SEAL that is now doing artwork. It's pretty amazing. Go check him out. Justin Hughes over on Instagram. Amazing artwork. Working with Kyle Carpenter, trying to get him on. If you guys don't know about Kyle Carpenter, Marine Lance Corporal, he's obviously out now, but the second youngest ever and the youngest living Medal of Honor winner. He literally jumped on a grenade to save his brother. Literally jumped on a grenade and lived to walk and tell about it. So awesome human being. We got a lot of people in store, so we're really happy about that. If you're out there in the store, we're going to do these little plugs real quick, but in the store, we got a lot of stuff up there. We got one of the new patches in, the Tier 9. If you guys are kind of understand what we're doing with Tier 9, the patches are now available over on the website, ghosttacticalproductions.com. You can go over to the swag store. We have the shirt store. Put up a new shirt yesterday or today. I can't remember. I think it was yesterday. Called Gun Control, and it says Gun Control, noun, when you only buy one, when you really want 2, 3, 4, or 5. So it's kind of a funny shirt we did. All sorts of stuff over there. Go check out our shirt store and our swag store. We've got stickers, got some new stickers in. We've got the Armed Citizen Podcast sticker, got some Ghost Tactical stickers in. We'll be having an Armed Citizen Podcast patch come in and a new Jarhead Podcast patch. Those will probably be in. Maybe I would say the Armed Citizen might be in the next week or so. I just sent in the artwork over the weekend for the Jarhead podcast. That might take another few weeks to get in, but yeah, anyways, boom. So the Pancake Boy has figured out the avatar system. So I want to bring Travis in real quick because he was kind of the one that had this great idea talking about patriotism and patriots. What is it? Where are we? Do we have any left in this country? So I want to bring Travis in and say, you know, when we thought about doing a show a month or two ago, what was your original thought process of what you wanted to talk about?
Man, I don't know. It's not necessarily a process and what I wanted to talk about. It was just, you hear everybody, and I think this is what I text her. I don't remember if I text her or if we talked on the phone.
I think we talked on the phone about it.
Yeah. Like, what does everybody consider a patriot? You know, you got a lot of people talking trash online saying this person's a patriot, this person's not, this person's faking it, this person's just phoning it in. You know, there's so many different ways to look at it, you know. And I think by definition, what a patriot is more of a thought process than actions. And I think that when you find people like you that might be in the military and you see somebody that's never really done anything physical or, you know, to further, you know, liberty, we'll say, or something like that, you know, do you look down upon that or do you say that, okay, that's the first step. This person has the right mindset. Now, can we water that seed and have it grow into a flower? So that's kind of what I was thinking about. It's like, what do we consider a patriot? And when we find one that's all talk, can we bring them along?
Absolutely. And I like, because that's an interesting point. You're talking about people who serve as far as in military wise. You know, there are people, and I know some, I think we all probably know some of people that served in the military, served their country, but necessarily maybe not have been patriots. Okay. There are also a lot of people that I know that never served that I would consider a patriot. And I think there's a distinct difference between being patriotic and being a patriot. And we'll get into that for sure. So I know that you've got a definition ready to go. Just before we go to Clover and ask him, I want you to read what you have as a definition of, is it patriot? Did you have patriot or patriotism as a definition?
Yeah, patriot, just the term patriot. And it's just Merriam-Webster. It's very, very short, which is kind of not surprised me, but it kind of shows my point of like, what does this really mean? And is this good enough? And for the term, because we think the term patriot is being somebody that's really larger than life and somebody that's really, putting effort into things. But the definition in Merriam-Webster was one who loves and supports his or her country. It's as simple as that. And then I found an article by CNN, and I know we don't always love CNN, but it says an expert told CNN calling someone a patriot brings with it a higher level of pride and respect, putting a person on par with the founders of this country who are seen as the original patriots. So I thought that was an interesting take on it,
Absolutely. It is kind of strange that is a very succinct and simple and short, but to the point definition. I mean, I think it's a very broad definition, and that's what we're going to dig into it and talk about the different layers. I think there are many layers of patriotism and being a patriot, but that was a very short and sweet definition. Clover, I want to bring you in and say, when you hear the word patriot, or patriotism, I'm going to ghost you here. The first one is your definition of patriot. What do you think of when you hear the word patriot? And then the second part is, do you think that patriot and patriotism are different?
Yes, I do believe that they're different. I believe that being a patriot, while I do agree that it is more of a mental framework and a mental state, it is not an absolutionist's mental state, meaning it's not an absolute. And I think that's evident by what Midnight brought up, going back to the founders and the framers. Those guys argued, debated vehemently over direction of the country, and for the most part were wanted to be free men, right, and wanted as much liberty and freedom as possible, but argued vehemently over how they should achieve that, right, how that should be done. And so I think people lose sight of that, especially when we start putting people in boxes and name calling and other things and calling people a traitor and this, that, and the other. I think it's ridiculous. A lot of the founders were called traitors, right? So that's, in a way, that's a badge of honor. So just like with the military, a lot of those, sacrifice, and some pay the ultimate sacrifice, right? For being a patriot, I think that there's a certain amount of struggle, strife, anguish that comes with being a patriot. You're going to get called out. You're going to get called a traitor. You're going to get told that you're doing nothing but compromising, or that you pick it, right? And it might not be with the military aspect. Obviously, that's more of a physical thing, right? Than the mental strife that a civilian might have, which is, trying to preach the words of, hey, this is what the free economy is about. This is what free speech is about. This is what, the framers intended in the first place, founders and the framers, right? And getting that backlash, right? And having those mental debates and things like that, and people calling you names and whatever it might be. And I get you, sticks and stones will break your bones, but still, that doesn't mean that, if you've got a bunch of people out there calling you a traitor or a troll or this, that, and the other, it doesn't mean that it doesn't bother you on some level, right? So there's still a little bit of strife there in that. And I think that's more of an honor thing and a badge that you would wear as a patriot. So I think that if you're thinking to yourself, well, am I a patriot? I think, are you practicing patriotism? I think would be one of the things to ask yourself. And the second is, have you run into any resistance? Because if you haven't run into that resistance that maybe has created struggle or strife or something like that, then I don't know that you're there yet. You're moving that direction, but I don't know that title would actually apply to you.
Yeah. Yesterday, knowing that this was going to be the topic, I put a poll out over on the community tab of the channel. And as of right now, we have 467 votes. And I asked Simple question. What does it mean to be a patriot? And the first answer that was listed, and it's polling at 28%, is pride of being an American. The second answer that is polling at 51% is sacrifice everything for your country. The third is at 8%, and that is doing what you can to help others in need. The fourth at 7% is being a good citizen. And the last polling at 6% is respecting others' opinions that go against your own. And I did this for a reason, because for me, okay, this is just for me, and I've getting a lot of comments on this that say all of the above, and that was the whole point. Because those 5 things that I think that a little bit of all of those go into the ingredients of what makes up a patriot. I think being patriotic is just one ingredient of being a patriot. I don't think that just because you love the country means you're a patriot. You can love your country and never do anything to serve her and serve our people and serve. And I'm not talking serve military wise, just serve our country.
Well, I mean, including civic duty, right? I mean, that's service to your country. Let's be honest about it. Yeah,
no doubt. And I think that it's interesting that a lot of people have voted, but I started getting a lot of these finally, and I was like, where the hell people, and I did this for a reason, but I finally did start getting some of these answers of all the above. I'm like, yes, this is what I'm talking about, because it is a multiple layered thing. And I do believe that patriotism and being a patriot are different things. I think that, once again, patriotism is a mandatory attribute that you must have to be a patriot. But that doesn't necessarily, and I like what Clover and Midnight Range both brought up, is our founding fathers. Our founding fathers were the biggest patriots this country's ever seen. And today they could have been tried as war criminals or been tried for treason against the crown. And they probably would have, if we would have lost the war, they would have been tried as treasonous acts towards the crown. They literally talk about sacrificing everything for an idea of this America. And it's a beautiful thing. I still to this day will go and say that the combination of the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights / Constitution combined, because a lot of the same people worked on both, are the greatest combination of written work ever created on earth, because it laid out a game plan for freedom. Is it perfect? No. But understand that these were 25 to 35-year-old people, except for Ben Franklin, a couple of, but most of them that 25 to 35-year-old that is still relevant today. And that's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Richard Hirsch out there says, I don't think you have to sacrifice everything to be a patriot, just your opinion. And I don't think that is a definite either. But like I said, I think that you have to be willing to sacrifice everything. Hopefully you never have to be put in that position to sacrifice anything. But I think that if you really want to make your mark and to really say, I want to do everything I can for this country, I think you have to be willing to sacrifice everything for your principles and your ideals. And that's exactly what our founding fathers did. Now, this is going to be a discussion. So Travis and Clover, you guys have been doing this a long time. Don't wait for me to call. Let's have a beautiful open discussion. If there's comments out there that we want to address, let's do that. Now, DJ Play Guy says all gave some, but all should, some gave all, but all should give some. And I agree, but giving some doesn't necessarily mean serving in a military. It could be a lot of different things. So go ahead, Clove.
No, I mean, we got civic duty. I mean, just showing up to the polls and voting, right?
Yes,
just being a participant in the civics process. Talking to your legislators, helping with campaigns, running yourself for office. Good Lord, and we're talking at the municipal level. We're talking, the founders were big believers that local governments worked best, right? And the federal government had some duty to play with oversight, with cohesiveness, with a few other things, but that, government worked best when it was closest to the people. How many people out there don't even know their city councilman, that don't go to their city council meeting or their school board meetings or whatever it might be, and they're not a part of that process, right? So, something just as simple as that, but to your point, it melds with what I said, that, if you're out there and if you're holding true to the same type of beliefs as the founders, you're going to run into friction, right? And okay, you're not taking a bullet or jumping on a grenade, but you're gonna take some heat. You're gonna, there's gonna be some strife there. Pat out there made a great thing about, respecting the Constitution and everything else. And people don't like to talk about this or listen to this because they want to be solid constitutional. The Constitution says this. You know what? Our founders and framers also gave us a way to change the Constitution. Now, if you agree that our founders and framers were not stupid men, right? And I totally believe that, then why did they have that mechanism in there? Because they realized that at times, right, as civilization changed, as technology grew, as things, there would be things that needed to be addressed. They knew right off the bat there were abolitionists, for example, right, within them. They knew right off the bat that they had to put that in there if there was ever any hope of free men actually being able to be free men, right? And so that was a piece and a part of it, but they were smart enough to realize that they couldn't foretell the future. And a lot of people want to get, a lot of the, and this is the friction and strife. And, I'm not saying these people are not a patriot or I'm more of a patriot than them or anything else. We may be on the same level. We could be on varying levels, whatever. But when you got like 3%ers or whatever it might be that are hardcore constitutionalists, right, and just throw a fit about, well, the Constitution says this and it should stay that way, that's fine. But other people have other opinions. And if other people want to go, this is the problem I have, whether it be people that want to go against the Second Amendment or the freedom of speech or, the Fourth or the Fifth, or you pick the amendment, right? It's like, we have a mechanism, and I would respect your tactics if you, rather than enacting a legislation which goes against the current wording of the Constitution, I would respect it better if you actually tried to change the Constitution, right? But ultimately, I believe there's a lot of people that fall into the camp that they don't really like to open that Pandora's box or that can of worms. And I understand why, but the saving grace that I've always said is that I don't think that we could see. I can only think of really one thing that's ever happened in the Constitution, and that was the popular election of senators. That was a horrible thing. The rest of the amendments and the process and the things that's went on in the Constitution have been fairly good stuff. And I think that people realize the levity of the situation. At least they did. It's been a long time since this happened. And I don't know if society today, politicians today, whatever, are up to the task. So that would worry me a little bit. But I don't really worry a whole lot. I don't see people getting real crazy. If they do open that box and that can of worms, I don't see them having the support to do it, right? Because most people have a basic understanding of liberty and freedom, and they want to keep that at all costs.
Absolutely. Before we move on, big shout out to Pink Panther out there. What's up, Pink? This is a $10 super chat. He says, throw an extra towards care packages tonight since you sacrifice having Pancake Boy on. Don't let him give you bacon wrap crayons, Ghost. If he's going to give me bacon wrap crayons, I'm not going to turn him down. I'm not going to.
Yeah, come on, man. Like, what kind of crazy nonsense is that? Like, of course you're going to have, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I would eat bacon wrap crayons. Just saying.
Yeah, why not?
Exactly.
Man, come on, bacon.
Everything's better with bacon. In case you're out there, we're not asking for them by any means, but all super chats do go to sending care packages to our troops overseas. And I've been very, very blessed to announce that as of now, we've sent over 120 care packages. We've raised enough money so far in the last 2 months, basically 2 or 3 months. We've sent over 120 care packages overseas, and that's I can't thank you guys enough for that. So that's amazing. So like I said, we're not asking for that, but understand that if you do, that's where it's going to. So thank you so much. Travis, you have anything that you want to kind of
Yeah, I think the Oop, hold on, defroze. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, my back. Okay, I'm back. Yeah, I'm having my internet's being a little funky here.
No worries.
Yeah, I think for me, and it kind of goes like what I said at the very beginning was like, watering the seeds of patriotism, right? Like we have, I think a patriot has a responsibility to spread patriotism, right? I think, for somebody that's, only been doing, live shows and being involved with the, pro-gun stuff for a few years now. I think about how I was beforehand. I had no clue. I didn't care about the Second Amendment. I didn't care about anything. I was, I had a couple guns. I've been shooting since I was a kid and whatever. But until I started listening to chats and meeting people and hearing people talk about it, I was like, man, this is so much more important than I ever thought. I think it's the same thing with what you would call a patriot. I think using your voice to spread that message and open up people's eyes is probably one of the most important parts of it. Wouldn't you think? I mean, I know it's not like we're talking about serving in the military and doing these amazingly heroic things, but without the people that are spreading the word, you don't, increase your forces, I guess you could say.
Absolutely. And this is going along with this next statement that I'm gonna put it out there, and Warsaw, I'm getting ready to thrash you a little bit. I'm just gonna go ahead and give you a shot across the bow. There's a big difference between being a true patriot and being hardcore right winger. Okay, so I know you're young-ish, and I'm not trying to attack you, but even bringing up the notion that being a patriotic and being a patriot knows or even recognizes political spectrums and political parties and ideology as far as political beliefs is absurd and ludicrous.
Ghost just hung. You see that?
There? You back?
Okay.
Something's weird.
I thought it was me, but maybe it's not me. Maybe
it might be me for all I know. Can you hear me though? Are we good?
Yeah, you're back. You're back. Start over.
Okay. Where was I when I cut out?
I don't recall.
Okay, so he wasn't listening. Great. So as far as what I was going to say is being a patriot and being patriotic has zero to do with political affiliation. It has zero to do with the ideology of politics. It has zero to do with anything outside of bleeding red, white, and blue. So the notion that even trying to distinguish between being a hard right winger or hard left winger and being a patriot is absurd. I'm not calling you dumb by any means, but I think that statement, just bring it up, that statement is dangerous. Before we move on, I'll bring Pat in $10. Once again, bless our troops there in front line for our country. Bless you. Thank you, brother. Clover, I'm going to bring you in real quick and talk about this statement right here about political affiliation versus a patriot.
Well, I'm not reading it. I mean, I'm reading what Warsaw Patriot's saying. He's saying there's a big difference because he's constitutionally conservative with and a little bit right. And I mean, so I think he's saying that you can be hard right wing and not be patriotic, just the same way you can be middle of the road and not be patriotic or not be a patriot. You could be far left wing and not be a patriot. But Patriot in the Dark out there says something that kind of goes hand in hand with what we're talking about with Warsaw Patriot here. And he says other opinions are fine as long as they align with the American principles. That's what it's all about. So it can't change better than all men are created equal. And so here's the thing with that. Okay. And I'm not picking on Patriot. I'm not picking on Warsaw, but these two kind of go hand in hand when we talk about there's no litmus test, there's no spectrum, because somebody's opinion can be that reparations, let's say, for a minority is necessary to get that minority back to a state to where they are equal, right? In their mind. Right. And for some people, they're like, reparations, what the heck? You know, that was 200 years ago. That was 300 years ago. That whatever. Why are we doing? I don't get it. I don't understand. That's right. You don't agree with that opinion, but that doesn't mean that opinion is not coming from a place that is valid with American principles.
Absolutely. And Patriots just says right there, it all falls back on American principles. Warsaw says the point I was getting is there are people who identify themselves as patriots. Okay, I get it what you're saying, but once again, I'm going to come back and say this. This is one of my favorite sayings, and understand what I'm saying is, and this is not to Warsaw, even though his name has Patriot in there. Patriot in the Dark has the word Patriot in there, but they don't do that for a specific reason. When I say this is, it's the same principle as telling people that you're a leader. If you have to consistently stand in a box and tell people I'm your leader, then you're not their leader. If you have to continuously, and that's what I'm saying is what Warsaw is saying, people identify themselves as patriots. If you have to tell people that you're a patriot, then are you? Because me standing up on a box yelling, I'm a patriot, I'm willing to sacrifice anything, I love this country, doesn't make me a patriot. It makes me a loudmouth yelling at a bunch of people that aren't listening to me. Yeah. In my eyes, being a patriot is sacrificing everything for the love of your country to do whatever it takes, whether you get press and get fame and fortune for it or not, makes no difference. It's not doing it for those things. It's doing it for your country. And you shouldn't have to tell someone that you're a patriot if you are walking the walk. That's just me. Travis, bring you in real quick and get your thoughts on what we've been talking about here.
I think that's a pretty great analogy you did, and it's the first thing I thought of was when you said when you're a patriot you don't have to tell people. I that's how I've always done in the kitchen. I've never once told anybody to call me chef, but they always do. And it's just because you handle yourself, properly, and you command that kind of that recognition, and I think it's the same way. I think it's the same way that you're talking about with the Patriot. I will say though too, you say that, the guy that's up there, making the speech and that person can be a positive force, or can be a negative force, right? We just hope that guy that's up there pounding the podium, making the speech saying I'm a patriot, hopefully his message is a positive one and he's motivating the people that are listening. I think the only time you get in a real tie up is when the message is counterproductive or dangerous, we'll say. Right.
That's a great point to bring up. So I want to throw this out there and say we kind of discuss maybe what is the attributes, what are the ingredients of maybe what makes up a patriot. Okay. And I want to say this: patriotism, to me, the definition of patriotism is just having the pride in your country, whatever country it is. Obviously, we're going to say in America here. Pride in being an American, the pride of the USA. To me, that's patriotism. And I think that patriotism is one of many, many ingredients as to what makes up a patriot. So whatever you think, and everyone out there has their own definitions, their own ingredients of what they would consider to make up a patriot. And I'm not here to change your minds. Everyone has to have their own thoughts on this. But I'm going to bring this up to you. I'm sorry with Travis, because I think you bring up an interesting transition here. For a patriot, and however you describe or define a patriot in your own mind, how do I put this? Do you think patriots have certain responsibilities that they need to do? And you were talking about maybe inspiring other people, but as a patriot, not saying that you're trying to be a patriot, but do you think patriots, if they're going to try to walk that walk and they're willing to sacrifice everything, and all of those attributes are there, and they're trying to live that life for whatever belief that they believe in, what responsibilities do you think they have towards themselves or their country?
Oh boy, I don't.
Or do they have responsibilities?
I believe they do. I believe it's, again, to bring like firearms into it. I believe that we have a responsibility to be responsible gun owners. Not everybody believes that. There's people out there that don't care about being responsible with firearms, and they do a lot of dumb stuff. There's people that, you hear about it in the news, people that do a lot of stupid shit. They obviously don't have those, we'll say, morals. Now, what is the proper morals as a patriot? I don't know. I'm kind of here in the conversation, to learn too, and to be swayed a little bit, maybe.
Well, let me ask you this. Is it our right to question the morals of people that we consider patriots? Or here's the thing. We have two different people that could be considered patriots by two different groups of people. Okay. And let's just take, I'm going to do an analogy, and you guys can go with me on here. Let's take Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Okay. Both of them, I believe, are patriots. They both wanted the same thing. They had different ways of going about it, but there was a group of people that revered Martin Luther King Jr. and had disdain towards Malcolm X. There were people that revered Malcolm X and didn't respect Martin Luther King Jr. And they're both patriots, aren't they? Are they not? For what they were trying to do, they're willing to sacrifice everything. So I think you're right. I think that for individual people, they have to come up with their own criteria to consider what they look at as a patriot. Clover. Go ahead, Trav. Go ahead.
That's exactly how I feel. Like, is there if there's somebody out there that can look and say, well, this is patriotism and this isn't, I think they're fooling themselves. I think there's shades of gray, and there's levels to it. There's a level that I might be on where I do a live show and I talk about rights and freedoms, but I'm not at the level of somebody that, like you, that served in the military and put their life on the line. I think there's levels of it. So I think it's a shade of gray. It starts at white and it works its way to black, to somebody that's willing to fight and die. The thing is, who's to say what's right and what's wrong? Who's to judge that? Who's to judge? I don't know. That's a really tough decision. I think, what do they say? There's a time for words and there's a time for actions. Who's to judge what time is right for what? I don't know. That's a hell of a question. That's
a beautiful question. Clover, do you want to attack any of what we've been talking about?
Well, I think there is the possibility of doing the right thing for the wrong reasons, just as well as there is doing the wrong thing for the right reasons.
Absolutely.
No doubt about
it. And your perspective, where you're at in life, how you understand things, is going to dictate where you fall, right? I think ultimately when we talk about we've got inalienable rights, and then the basics of the Constitution, certainly the Bill of Rights, protect those inalienable rights, which include, and it says include, so it doesn't say they're limited to, right? That's the other cool thing about it. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, which is translated into
the pursuit of happiness.
The pursuit, which is translated into property. If you go back and read language, there was, again, anti-abolitionist, the abolitionist movement, blah 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 blah. Is why it doesn't say property. They felt that was going to be a hurdle later on as they tried to get rid of slavery. And it would have been without a doubt. So it was kind of understood at the time what they mean. Now it seems to mean that I can do whatever I darn well please. Well, no, it doesn't. It means that you have the ability to pursue, to obtain whatever you want to obtain. Problem is, you can't strip anybody of their inalienable rights while you're doing that. Okay. And that is the key thing with morality. And so I said out in the chat earlier that American principles, like it or not, I don't care whether you believe in God or Christ, or that's your hang up. That's your thing. But if we look at biblical teaching, if we look at Christianity and the teachings of Christianity, American principles and Christianity sort of line up. I mean, particularly with the golden rule. do unto others. If you don't want your rights stripped away, you don't want anybody impeding on your rights, then don't impede on somebody else's.
Correct. I think that the Christianity side of things, I think you hit on it right there, is there's arguments, and we're not even going to go down the religious track, because that's not something that I want to do, because that could go down for 17 million hours. Ultimately, it's like you said, treat people well, be a good person. Okay. Be a good person. And I think that right there is the baseline of America. Be a good citizen, be a good person, help people when you can, have love for your country, do what you can to help your community. If everyone took 5 minutes of their day every day to do something for someone else, can you imagine how good this place is? Instead of bickering and arguing all the time about shall not be infringed, or the abortions, or whatever topic you want to talk about, take 5 minutes of your life to do something as simple as buying someone a cup of coffee. It's simple. So yesterday, the day before, my wife was like, so I said, what do you want to do for lunch? And she said, let's go Taco Bell. I said, okay. So we're heading up to Taco Bell, driving by Walmart, and I see a guy in camouflage jacket, who knows if he's a vet or not, but holding up a sign. And so I just kept on driving by, went to Taco Bell, got some food and all that, and got a couple extra soft tacos. Pulled into Walmart, came back around, handed them 2 tacos, took off. Why? Why not? I don't care if he was a vet or not. I don't care if he needed it or not. He might be someone that's making 6 figures doing this or something.
Right. Well, and that was
the guy was out there asking for anything. He wasn't asking for money. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to give him $5, but I'll give him a couple tacos. You know.
Well, you hedge that. You hedge that by giving him something. I mean, food is something that somebody needs, right? So regardless of whether he goes out there every day and then he walks around the corner and gets in his Mercedes Benz and drives to his mansion, right? Regardless, he needs food. So regardless, you give him something he needed rather than just giving him money that he could spend on whatever. Maybe he goes and buys cigarettes or, any number of things, alcohol or any number of things if he's just giving money. So you met a need regardless of his intentions or being out there on that corner.
Yeah. Travis put something in the private chat, and I want to bring in because I think it's a beautiful question to ask. Go for it.
Okay. So we're all like-minded for the most part. We disagree maybe a little bit here and there. You talk about whether it's because of, your belief in religion or just because you believe what's right is right, and that's, I don't care either way. But we're like-minded, and we, a lot of the people watching and, might consider themselves patriots because we want a certain thing and we're working towards a certain goal as a group, as a community. There's also people that are working towards the opposite goal. Are they considered patriots in their communities because they're working towards, I feel weird saying like a socialist society or something like that, because we're, but we're going to use that for just a quick word, are those people that are really the Bernie supporters or whatnot, are they patriots for their side? Is it semantics? Is it depending on whose eyes you're looking through, who's a patriot?
That is the question. That's the $10 billion question. And this is what I wanted to talk about most. And I kind of alluded to it earlier. We can talk about CJ. So my homie out there, my best friend from the Marine Corps is out there, and CJ's out there. He says great stuff listening in. I love you, brother. Hope to talk to you soon. We're going to try to get Corey on the podcast as well. He's doing some stuff with canine training right now. Awesome stuff. But anyways, so here's the thing that I want to talk about is a patriot, okay? And kind of going down the road that you're talking about, Travis, is we have people that, let's just take the two-way is a small speck of this world. Let's take two-way. We have people in our community that we look and say, man, that's a patriot for the two-way. Is Bloomberg not a patriot for the anti-two-way people? Is Moms Against Moms Demand Action, are they not considered a patriotic movement for their movement? Absolutely are. So we can sit here and talk all night long about how we define and what criteria that we're going to give to be a patriot. But ultimately, it comes down to a personal. Who do I look at as a patriot? And the three of us in this panel could give one person. Let's take out one person and say, do you think this is a patriot? And we might have all three of us say absolutely. All three of us might say no. We might have one or two people say yes, the other one say no. When it comes down to a patriot, and we were talking about earlier, is inspiring people to help in that cause, inspiring someone to do something selflessness. So I think that's a huge attribute of being a patriot, is being selfless. But inspiring someone. So I believe it's an individual thing as to who we put up as patriots. Same thing like a role model or whatever, but you have to define what your specific criteria is, what you would consider a patriot, and don't let anyone out there tell you that you're wrong. That's just as being a patriot as anything, is having your beliefs and what you stand for. And no matter what that is, it doesn't matter, because we're all different. Whatever you hold truth to close to your heart as the truth, and what you believe, that's what you have to look at and say, this person to me is a patriot, where everyone else in the room might be yelling at you saying that's a piece of shit. But if he's a patriot or she's a patriot to you, then by God, don't let anyone tell you any differently. Clover, go ahead. You said you wanted to maybe jump in.
Well, I mean, I tend to agree with you. I mean, again, it's a matter of perspective and everything. And I think that if you're one of these people that go, well, they're on the left or they're on the right or they're in this box or they're in that box, and so they're a traitor, they're not a patriot, you need to go back. You seriously need to educate yourself on history when it comes to the founding fathers, because there were many, and framers. There was many of those that vehemently despised each other. It was no different than Ted Cruz versus Dianne Feinstein nowadays, right? I mean, you literally had founding fathers that had those types of back and forth and arguments and debates back in the day.
Wouldn't that be awesome to have been in that chamber?
Right. If you go back and you read, I don't think anybody views at this stage right now, most of the people that would say that would take it personally and go, oh, they're a traitor, they're not a patriot, right? Would agree that both of those people that vehemently disagreed on one topic or another back in the original day, they would view both of them as a patriot in retrospect, right? And so if you're able to do that in retrospect, why are you not able to understand the modern circumstances and the mentality where people believe they're doing what is best?
Sure. Let me ask a question, and I'm going to steal it from Travis, because he's the one who put it in the private chat, but I'm going to steal it. I'm going to ask both of you guys this question. Travis, I'm going to go to you first. To some people, destroying the Constitution is patriotism. And I know that you brought this up, but once again, we're talking about semantics here. We're talking about, to each individual person, we have the right in America to believe what we want without the fear of persecution from our government. So we're talking about this again. Is the idea of 240 some odd years later, taking the Constitution and going into a constitutional convention, which is what it's there for, to change all this stuff, if the movement to go to a constitutional convention to change some of the stuff that America believes in and it moves towards, it's a good question. Do you think that even though we may not agree with their motives, is that not considered being a patriot as well?
Okay. So I think
that is some second devil's advocate. You're right about that, by the way.
I know this is, and that's why I think this is an interesting conversation, and it's fun, because I think our right to make our government, we'll say, in the best way we feel fit. We're based on that. We left a country that we didn't think was good enough for us. We made our own. Now, our job as people that agree with what they built, what the founding fathers built, our job is to hold on to that. But it is American to try and change it if you feel like it should be changed. But I feel like that's why the voices are so important. That's why our words are so important. That's why our actions are so important, so that we can continue to have people truly feel that what we started with is right. But that doesn't, what are they, ever vigilance is, what's the quote? Ben Franklin, I think it was, everlasting vigilance is, I forget, I'm blanking out here, but, I think, and that's,
I had no idea what you were saying. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I'm trying to come up with a quote and I can't spit it out. So we'll move on. But I think it's important to realize that it is American to question, and it's an American to try and change things that you don't feel is right. I'm not saying that we should change by any means. I think what we started with is what we should have forever. I believe that we started off in an amazing path, and that path is now becoming eroded. But I don't question the fact that it was set up that we can change it for the better if we feel it needs to be.
So I don't know if you were talking about Thomas Jefferson's, but eternal vigilance is the price of liberty.
That's the guy. That's the dude.
He
was kind of smart.
He also had a good one that I almost brought up earlier, and now's a good time since we're mentioning Jefferson, and I'm going to paraphrase, unfortunately, but he says, questionable boldness, even the very existence of God. For if there is a God, he had rather me basically think for myself, make my own decisions rather than blindly follow him. So what he's saying is, it's perfectly okay to question the government. It's perfectly okay to question other people, right? And their motives for, why they want to change this or change. It's perfectly okay to question somebody. But in that questioning, there's also a search, right? A search and understanding, okay, this person, they want to get rid of the Second Amendment, or they want to get rid of the First Amendment, or they want to do this, why do they want to do that? Where are they coming from? Right. And is there some type of an American value? Is there some type of common thread between some of the founders and some of the I don't want to say the teachings, right, but the understanding, right, that they had? Is there any commonality? Is there any common thread in that, even though we don't agree with their approach?
Yeah. So my boy out there, CJ, says, sorry I joined late. I sent you a link out there, Corey. If you want to join, I'd love to have you, or you can call into the number scrolling if you want to. I would love for you to jump on. I know if you can't, no big deal. But he says, sorry I joined late. Is this Patriot Conversation USA specific? So I don't know where he's going. I think I might have an idea where he's going. So let's just say that it's not USA specific we're talking about, regardless of what we believe. But the radical Muslims that believe in jihad, are they not patriots for their cause as well?
That's the crazy question, right? And that's basically where I was getting at when I was throwing some hardcore devil's advocate stuff out there is it's the way you look at it. Now, you're right to fight for what you feel is right and just is just as strong as their right to change it. So, that's just the way I look at it.
Yeah. It's interesting because we were talking earlier about patriotism and all that, and this idea of serving your country and all that. And I'm on the record, and people that actually know me know that I did not join the Marine Corps for sense of duty. I didn't join it because I felt like I wanted to serve my country. It evolved into that and developed into that. But the original raising the right hand had nothing to do with serving my country or any of that. I'm going to bring in what's up, home dog. Corey, can you hear me?
I can hear you. How are you,
All
man?
right, cool. I'm good, brother. How you doing, man?
Good.
So CJ was he served with me. He went on to do some awesome things overseas in a lot of different realms. I know that you were wanting to know if this was U.S. specific. So if you want to go ahead and expound on that, I'd love to hear your side of what being a patriot is.
Yeah, no, interesting conversation, guys. Look, I'm in my Airbnb now with the canine, so I'm in a little room, so don't want to turn the camera on necessarily.
No, I understand.
But all good. Look, I think my interpretation of all of this is super interesting because, yeah, the big question is, how do you judge someone for being a patriot? But also, like, the openness of the USA these days, specifically in the last 10 years, it's so international. So, like, okay, I mean, this is extreme, but you have a suicide bomber who does his thing, and you have a million followers from the suicide bomber. Is he a patriot? I would disagree. I would say, fuck no, he's not a patriot. But like, there's a lot of interesting concepts you can twist and turn from this. But the bottom line is like, the USA is becoming so international right now. So all cultural aspects, all that stuff has to be, taken into concept. So it's just interesting. So I'll keep listening, Trey.
Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. So this is an interesting thing because this is where it gets to be semantics with words. There, in my opinion, there is a difference between being a patriot and being a martyr. And I think that maybe sometimes those words even kind of get intertwined a little bit. A martyr is not a patriot, in my opinion, because they're doing it for a specific reason, not for the love or the freedom of a movement or a country or the belief system. Sometimes it's to be that martyr. Go ahead, Clover. I know that you had something you wanted to maybe bring up.
No, I mean, when we're talking about, we talk about, suicide bomber, for example, that's somebody that obviously is not, is obviously impeding on somebody else's right to live. Even if you're talking about things like, let's say the Weather Underground, back in the 60s or whatever, who bombed police stations, right? And I think some people probably died in some of that stuff, but damage to property, right? That's still damage to property, and therefore, for me anyway, that exempts you from the whole notion of being a patriot.
Yeah. And Corey, and this is obviously the first time you've been on, but jump in, man. If you got anything you want to add or just feel like you can jump in anytime, bro.
And I'm talking also, I should caveat my statement by saying I'm talking about outside the confines of armed conflict.
Sure.
That's a whole different scenario.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the suicide stuff happens obviously inside armed conflict, but more often than not, it happens outside of the parameters of the armed conflict. So, I mean, I think I agree with what you said, but I also, like, I'm curious to know, like, what, what, like, to me, like, the people that follow these people see these guys as patriots. Like, you can say them, you can combine the two. You can't, but you can combine the two. But it's just interesting to me because, like, if that was one of our guys, if that was one of our soldiers that went in and wrecked up, like, a suicide bomber's house with like a bunch of bombs and explosions in there, and people that were lined up to do suicide bombs, we would say that would be a patriot. And on the other side, on the flip side, because of their culture and how they grew up and what the only thing that they understand, it's the same thing. They see these people as patriots. So it's just interesting to me because I've spent most of my, the last 20 years overseas, to be honest with you. And I've got to travel to, like, I don't know, 75, 80 countries and done a lot of executive protection stuff. And it's just interesting to me because, you see as it's evolved over the last 10 years of traveling, like, before the last 10 years, the U.S., everyone wanted to come here. Everyone wanted to be an American. Everyone wanted to come to the U.S. Now, how that's slowly shifted and changed it's super interesting. So, yeah.
Go ahead, Clover. I think you wanted to jump in. Go for it.
No, I was just when we're talking in the confine where we're at now in the conversation anyway. I gotta wonder. I mean, are they seen? And I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't have the experience to say one way or another, but I'm certainly going to question it because, as we said earlier, Jefferson said that's what we need to do. But are they seen as patriots, or are they seen more as a martyr, or maybe some other type of religious, ideologic, some type of saint or something?
So here's the thing, and I think that this is just my opinion. Okay, here's my opinion. If it's this is just me. If it's something that this is just in general, I'm not a specific thing, whether it's a suicide bomber, whether it's a jihadist, whether it's whatever, makes no difference. If it's something that we personally believe in and we follow, I think that we're more is a human right, a human element, a human thought process going to tend to think that that person is a patriot. If they're doing something or fighting for something that we don't agree with, we're probably going to be quick to sit there and say they're just doing it to be a martyr. And the flip side can be said. Their side is going to call them a patriot, and they're going to call our side martyrs. I think that that's just human nature, honestly.
Yeah.
I think someone brought up Hong Kong. I would sit there and say the people in Hong Kong trying to get freedom in China, that's a movement. You want to know what a patriot is? The kids that stood in front of the tanks in Tiananmen Square. No, those were the freakers. Those fuckers were patriots. They were literally willing and did sacrifice everything to get their voice heard. So doing a protest and doing rallies and all that, those are parts of what it takes to become a patriot, possibly. But standing as a 19-year-old college student in the middle of Tiananmen Square, looking down at a fucking tank and said, "Run my ass over, but I'm not fucking moving," that's a fucking patriot. That's just me. Okay.
Yeah, Trey,
Travis,
I think that was a good hit. I think you hit that was kind of where I was going with that. But yeah, it's interesting because yeah, I don't want to try and twist anything into a different conversation here, but the bottom line is social media right now is the most powerful thing out there, and it's that will make people what they are, more than history, more than actual how it was actually founded and what people believed in. Social media is the most powerful thing in the world right now. So.
Well, I think that social media is going to be what is perceived as history 25, 30, 100 years from now. They're going to look back at the old Instagram pictures and say, man, this is what America was in 2021, which may not be true, but that's what's going to be the perception is. That's how we record history. You know, the written word back in the 1700s, the 1800s, the TV, the social media of the 20th century, the 21st century. That's how history is recorded, and it's different mediums. But yeah, I believe that social media is great, but it also could be our downfall. Go ahead, Clover.
Well, Midnight was talking earlier about the responsible firearm owner, right? And you fall back to it. Laugh if you want, comic book thing, whatever. With great power comes great responsibility, right? And Corey's spot on with the social media thing is that it's immensely, it's absolutely mind-blowingly powerful, right? These tools that we have. How many of us are actually using them responsibly? How many of us go on and use it to agitate, use it to name call? We're not using it responsibly. How many of us are using that? Worse than that, how many of us are not even using them at all?
Yeah. No, and I think a lot of it comes down to, as far as using responsibly, I'll take it a step further, is how many people are going to, and I'm going to use a two-way, is this little example here, shall not be infringed, shall not comply from my cold dead hands. Come and take it from grandma's basement that they're talking about. Come and take it from me and all that. The second that anyone shows up to your property, those fuckers are going to be in a corner with the lights turned out, hiding, going, God, I hope they don't think I'm here. Most of them, I'm not saying everyone, but the vast majority are out there on social media. Oh, but they're the first ones that are going to fucking run.
Well, on both sides. Let's be honest.
Absolutely,
right?
No doubt.
Let's be honest, because there's on the other sides that seem to think it's going to be all fun and games. If they poke and prod and something goes to a civil war or something crazy, right? And it's not going to be a fun day for anybody if it gets to that point.
I'm telling you, people, you don't want a civil war. I'm telling you right now, it's over in a day. Corey knows this. We have a lot of people with a lot of weapons in this country. They have the fucking Air Force. Just saying. Now, will those military personnel, the pilots that are going to be flying those planes that could destroy communities from hundreds of miles away, would they take that as a lawful order in attacking our own? Who knows? But when it comes down to it, we don't want a fucking civil war, people. I promise you. When we had the 1800s and 1860s, we had basically the same weapons as the military. That's not the fucking case anymore. Let's be honest about it.
We had more advanced weaponry, first of all.
Fair enough.
If you're talking about the Revolutionary War, we had more advanced weaponry in a lot of different cases.
Yeah, that's why they want you to bring your own weapons when you sign up.
I do not believe that the American military, the majority, goes against the American people. Here's the problem. You talk about the Air Force. They don't even need the Air Force.
It doesn't take many.
There is missiles. There is drones. There is many, many other things. And how small of a percentage would it even take? It would not even take but a very, very small percentage of fighter pilots, of bomber pilots. You know what I mean? I mean, how many bombers realistically would it take to take out any kind of insurrection within the United States? 1, 2, it's not like it takes the entire Air Force. So, and reasonably, there are that many that would bend to the will of a tyrannical government or anything else. Let's be honest about it.
Yep. Go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, no, 100% agree with that. Interesting comment though, just to coattail that is it. I'll tell you what, at least 75% of them currently in would like the special operations group that's out there that's not currently in the military right now, that's just locked and loaded and ready. It's fucking scary, to be honest with you. But also, like you said, okay, let's just take a good estimate and say 50-50 of the military, 50% would, not necessarily go with what and attack their own, and the other 50 would. And it's, you don't even need the troops. It's just a button. But guess what? We've got, not we, like I'm part of it, but it kind of got some intels in it. But the bottom line is, like, half the guys that are pushing those buttons, are 50-50 too. So it's just interesting. And the bottom line is it's so dispersed. Like, it's not like there's like 14 towns across the United States where these people are huddled up. Like, you're going to fucking have to go door to door, neighborhood to neighborhood. Yes. Like, there is no way you can just put a fucking geofence around that and hit, 15, 50 or 100 different sites. There's still just a bunch of stuff going on. And if they start launching missiles in their own country, like, people are going to turn on them so quickly. It's not even funny. So
that's a great point. So there are a lot of foreign military, obviously, that we have a lot of things that we have access to. I think if it comes down to a Red Dawn scenario, community versus community on the ground, we can win that war. No doubt in my mind. We can win that war because we're going to have the advantage of the terrain. We're going to have the advantage of being able to, a community-wide, being able to stick together. I think we can win that war. Community to community, on the ground, rifle to rifle, I think we win that war. I think we could, if it ever came down to it. If we ever wanted to break from the Union for whatever reason, okay? So saying what CJ's talking about, taking that to the step further. If first, I don't even think it's 50-50, bro. I think it might be 10% would go along with it. Honestly, I think that 90% of the current military right now would not believe that as a lawful order to attack our own people. But let's just say, I know that you're using those as numbers. Whatever number that is that would stick behind that order and say, let's do this, whether it's pushing a button or whatever it is, the second that button's pushed, you want to see the greatest collaboration and conglomerate of the world coming together in the aid of our citizenship. Now that's going to be something. You want to see, aside from probably Russia, Japan, and China. Why? Because they're financially invested in the United States of America. But you want to see what every other third world guerrilla warfare people ever want to do. They'll come join that fight, just like the French came over in the revolution. They'll join that fight because they would love to see the U.S. fall. Okay, so we don't want to go down this road. But let's be honest, we don't want that for a lot of reasons. Not just saying that we're just going to lose that war if we do go against the government, but there are so many repercussions to the U.S. falling. You want to see what the world economy does the second that the first state secedes? The world's economy collapses the second that the world sees that we're having this kind of issue in America. It's not going to happen, I don't think, but it is an interesting conversation to have. Go ahead, Clove.
I was going to bring up two things. I mean, first of all, you're right in that. So how many other countries, large countries with bigger military prowess, China, Russia, sees the infighting opportunity, right, to come in and just clean house on everybody while these two people are fighting, right? Or these two factions are fighting. Will there be some that align? Sure. I'm sure there probably will, but the vast majority that align are going to be third world rogue, I would think, countries more than anything. And then, so what does the country look like after that? That's what we got to, here's what we got to do. Those that are real quick to say, come on and let's boog, right?
Yeah.
Does the country you're trying to save exist after that happens? I don't think it does, regardless of whether you win or not. I don't think it does.
I would be willing to bet if you could go back to 1858, 1859 and say, okay, here's the deal. Here's where our country is 150 years later after the Civil War. Was it worth it? Now, there are a lot of things that came out of the Civil War that 100% it was worth it. It moved us into equality. It moved us into an industrial revolution. It moved us into expanding and exploring the West. There's a lot of stuff that happened because of the Civil War. But was the war itself worth it? Would those things have naturally happened without the separation of our country? And the answer is, I don't know. It would be really interesting to talk to the leadership of the Confederate States of America and say, here's where we are. Was it worth it? And I think it's an interesting concept that you're bringing up, Clover, is what does our country look like? Not just inside our country and where we are as a people, but now on the worldwide stage because of 24-hour news, because of social media, because of the world market. What does our country look like globally if that should happen? I don't know. That's a great question.
Yeah. I think it's a safe bet to say it doesn't look anything like we think it's going to look, or like a lot of us think it's going to look. It certainly doesn't look like it did 50 years ago. It certainly doesn't look anything like it does even right now. I think it's far worse.
Yeah. Sorry, can I jump in real quick?
Absolutely, dude. Yeah.
I think. Oh my God, sorry, my dog's trying to jump on the bed.
So little backstory. So CJ is one of the reasons why I fell in love with German Shepherds. He had Zeus, and God rest his soul. Zeus was an amazing working dog. A few months ago, he was looking for another dog. He actually was talking to me about where I got my shepherd. He's got his shepherd that's been trained, and he is actually doing a month worth of training with him and with this guy. So he is on site, on location, working with the dog. So I'm assuming right now, coming back to your Airbnb, they're letting you bring him home right now with you to kind of get that bonding. Is that what y'all are working on right now, is the bonding side of things?
Yeah, no, exactly. This is going on the 4th week. We've got search starting tomorrow and Thursday, and the bonding's been going on from this is the 4th week, and from week 1 I've had him 24/7.
And you had to be on location for a month straight working on this, so it's kind of an interesting thing. Yeah, go ahead. Anyways, go ahead. What you were going to say? I'm sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
No. Real quick though. Yeah, but they've had him for 6 months, and like I got the easy part. To be honest with you, he's like, he's looking at me half the time, like his ears will be crossed, and like, bro, come on, smart the fuck up. I got this. Just go, follow me. And I'm just like, my bad, bro. Let's go. So
he knows it. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, exactly. No, so back to that conversation. What's interesting to me is it like, okay, say whoever we are and whoever you and the other folks are, whoever wins, like the bottom line is what have we learned over the last 100 years? Like if we win, for example, what do we take into that win? We can't just like reset it, right? Because then we're just back to where we fucking started. So no, we've got to learn from where we're at right now and what this like the racism, the cultural stuff. You have to take strides in this stuff, like bigger strides and quicker strides, because people are fucking pissed off, man. And in cultural communities, education, deprived neighborhoods, like that stuff's got to be addressed. And so, for example, if whoever wins, whatever wins, they've got to address that. And everyone to this date is just pretended like they addressed it, and nobody fucking follows through. So I guess at the end of the day, like, I would, to be honest with you, I would not welcome, because I would never want to do it. But like, I think the government would have a hard time overtaking right now, given the current administration and all that stuff. But the bottom line is if whatever happens, like stuff has to be learned recently. Like we have to accept some of the negative things we've accepted over the years, and we have to evolve, evolve together. And it has to be a communal thing, man. That's the big mistake. Like everyone wants to jump so far left or so far right, and there's no gray area anymore. Like people are offended. Like get the fuck over it. Like, come on, man. If I don't agree with you, that doesn't mean I hate you, but now it does, right? And it's just mind-boggling to me. So.
Well, we have a group chat with a few of us, and it got interesting around election time. And CJ and I are on one side, and we got another buddy of ours that's complete opposite, and that's cool. It's awesome. We had great conversations, but ultimately it comes down to this. What is a win? And I don't think anyone knows anymore. I think that people are so used to howling at the moon and knowing that nothing's ever really going to change, because we've allowed that to happen in our political system, that nothing's really going to change. But we keep howling at the moon. We keep fighting for something. But do we even know what a win is anymore as a country? Do we even care what a win is anymore? Or is it more about hearing our voices being heard, even though it may not work? At what point do we, once again, it goes back to, I'm going to full swing back into the Patriot side of things. If you're just talking to be heard, but you lose sight of the goal, are you not just as dangerous as the people that's on social media behind their keyboards creating a riot or inciting a riot just from being stupid on a keyboard with no face and all of that? I think that's the biggest problem we have as a country. We have lost track of who we are. Regardless of your political affiliation, it makes no difference to me. Once again, it comes to, I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, a Libertarian, a Constitutionalist, a freaking Patriot Party. I think that's what I thought it was called, the MAGA, but I think it's I think Trump's going to call it the Patriot Party, which is ironic. But I think we've lost track of who the hell we are as a country. And maybe we have to do this. And maybe we lost track back in the 60s as well. I think that maybe something like this has to happen every 40 or 50 years for us to remind us who the fuck we are. Are we in that stage right now? Is there a way and I'm going to bring this to Corey, to Travis, to Clover. Jump in and say something here. Do you see a path to getting back to who we are, who we once were? Or is this the new norm?
Yeah, and I'll take a stab here if you
Yeah.
want. I think it boils down to regulating social media and that stuff being like, because look, people are so lazy now that they and look, honest to God, I'm at the end of the day, I'm pretty conservative, but I'm also I live in DC.
Right.
So for example, there's two things here I'll just point out. Like when the Trump boys stormed the Capitol or whatever you want to call it, guess what? My company got called to cover down on the left side's Democrats and Republic, or the people of the House. So like, because the Capitol Police were so overwhelmed that they needed help covering down and protecting some folks, and we did. But it's just super interesting because look, as I don't know how to explain this more, but Trump was he screwed himself. He was blatantly stupid, and social media crushed him. And like, for example, for a president of the United States to be banned from a social media site that is holding in the United States and creating in the United States, and it being withheld, like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, they're more powerful than him. That just goes to show you, like, that social media site is more powerful than the president of the United States. So at the end of the day, my point to that is, like, that's how powerful social media is. And people loved it, right? And people backed it. But the bottom line is, what I experienced and what I saw and what I heard around those times was, neither one is any different. Both of them, whether you're left or right, they're both so far over exaggerated to one side or the other that, like, they cannot see a gray area. And every decision at the end of the day, at least 90% of them are gray area decisions where you've got to meet halfway somewhere and talk to both sides. But it's so divided right now. It's just it's infuriating. So
It is, and we talk about it all the time. There's 10%. They're hard right. There's nothing you're ever going to do to move them. There's 10% that's hard left. There's nothing you're ever going to do. 80% of America is that gray. I'm not a one issue voter. I'm very public. There are people that are one issue voters, and that's cool. I have voted Democrat in my life. I'm not going to lie. I have voted Democrat. Here's the thing. And I love what you brought up, because I never thought about it in those terms of Twitter being more powerful than the president of the United States. They literally fucking flipped his switch. And you're right, by the way. We've had many discussions. I believe that Trump is, he was his own worst enemy. If he just would have shut the fuck up off of Twitter for 4 years, he would have won in a fucking landslide, I think, the past year. He did himself in.
100%.
And he fucked the Georgia runoffs as well, just by being on social media. He fucked it. And we talked about this before. I don't want to go down this old horse, but until he left January 20th, he was still, whether he wanted to believe it or not, he was still the leader of the Republican Party, and he has responsibilities of that. And he took the party and said, fuck you, it's about me. And I lost pretty much most respect for Trump because of that. But I believe, I never thought about it the way you put it that way, but that is a very interesting thing to think about, that Twitter is more powerful than the president, because they literally flipped his fucking switch and said, nope. Now you can argue freedom of speech. You can argue whatever you want. That's a private platform that we talk about with YouTube all the time. It's their platform. They're allowing us to be on their platform for free. Ultimately, they can do what the fuck they want. It's their business. And they flipped the switch on Trump. And I never thought about that, but in that term, that's an interesting thing to think about, is social media is more powerful than the president because they can just flip his switch anytime they want. Go ahead, Trav.
What's interesting about that, though, is so they were able to silence, whatever you want to call it, Trump, but they they decided that an official, a senator or whoever, a government official, wasn't allowed to ban people because they were a public official.
Right.
That's pretty odd. That's pretty weird.
Oh no, I'm not saying that it's not fucked up, and it's not, there doesn't, but the fact that a platform, a social media platform, has the power to flip anybody's switch at any given time, including the most powerful man in the free world, is crazy. They just flipped his switch, and he was still president, mind you, when it happened. It wasn't like he was already out. He was still the sitting president, and they said, done, I'm out. It's interesting. And I never thought about it that way. And I know Clover probably is going to disagree. What say you?
Yeah, I disagree slightly with what y'all are talking about. I mean, I don't disagree. I don't think it would have to go as far as if Trump would have just stayed off of Twitter, right?
Oh no, this is an example.
A lot of people, this goes back into what I said earlier. With power comes responsibility. It's not what you say, and I'm going to sound like a woman, maybe your wife or girlfriend, but it makes sense. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And if Trump would have been a little more calculated and filtered with Twitter, he would have been just as fine as if he'd have stayed off of it.
No
right?
doubt.
It wasn't what he said on Twitter. It was how he said it. And for a lot of people out there that are complaining about these platforms and everything else, again, it's free speech. Well, first of all, it's a private platform, so no. But even if that's the case, you're free. First of all, that's a restriction for the government silencing you,
government to silence you, correct.
Even if it applied, though, they're not saying you can't say that. You just can't say that in a certain way. It's like people that just, they do nothing but curse, right? Well, you're not going to go on a Christian radio station and even talk about God if you're going to go on a Christian radio station and talk about God and curse while you're doing it, right? And I know that's kind of a redundant thing to say, but it's just an extreme example to say you don't have to. Find a better way to say it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, Trey, can I jump in real quick?
Absolutely, bro. You don't have to ask, bro. Just jump in and say, fuck it, I'm talking.
Yeah, no, super interesting because ow, fuck, he's biting my foot. So bottom line is but I've seen the other side who oppose Trump and have called him and compared him to Osama bin Laden, completely keep their Twitter accounts. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, no. Twitter is run by stop. Sorry, guys.
It's all good.
The Twitter is run by a certain perspective. It's not gray. It's left or it's right, and it's clearly left. So, like, Seagull, stop, get off. Thank you. So the bottom line is I look, and I've been, his impeachment. The people that are in charge of his impeachment process were comparing him to Osama bin Laden. Like, are you fucking kidding me? And they're running Twitter tweets every fucking 30 minutes. And he, he gets accused of, and I'll tell you this word. This is a word that you guys got to think about. The insurrection.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
they don't know what an insurrection is. Yeah.
Seattle, Portland, like government buildings, police stations, firehouses getting set on fire and trying to lock the doors in. Like, those are government buildings, but no comment is made about any of that stuff. These people are just, out for a cause. They're not insurrectionists or, it's just boggles my mind. But you go to the Capitol and guess what? I wish they didn't break any windows or go through any doors, but I love the fact that they were there, to be honest with you. And
absolutely.
Showing it was, and I think it was powerful, but they crossed the line, and I would be the first one to say that. But dude, like, think about the rest of the country and the stuff that happened in the streets of these major cities. Like Portland, you couldn't even go downtown for like 45 days because it was just insane.
Fucking place, yeah.
But they were never ever labeled as domestic terrorists. So let's figure this the fuck out really quick. Like, why is one side labeled domestic terrorism and the other side not? It's
One,
just interesting.
convenience, and two, it pushes their agenda. Whatever platform, whether it's a news or social media, they're going to protect the ones that are aligning with their agenda, whatever that agenda is. And we all know what that is. I know that you were having a rhetorical question there, but
Yeah, no, of course. It's just interesting to me that, but people believe that and they suck up to the social media and like nobody, I don't know. It's just hard for me to compartmentalize actually, because it's so far one way or so far the other way. And then I've protected and worked with both who believe in one way and then one way the other. And it's just like, and I hear conversations around me that are just like, y'all are both the fucking same, man. Y'all both
Right.
over exaggerate everything one way to make yourself like a name for yourself on social media at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, none of you really fucking give a fuck about the rest of the middle, which is, hopefully still, which I don't know, Trey, if you said what, 10%
I
or 20%,
I think the middle
it's
is
more like, I think it's more like 40 left, 40 right, and maybe 10% or 20% in the middle.
it could be.
Yeah,
It could be now. It used to be the vast majority were at least somewhat moderate. But I think what you're saying is right. It's basically a showdown now. It's the showdown at the OK Corral where you're either a cowboy or you're with Wyatt Earp. And you're being forced by the media. I'm going to say media / social media, but media in general. You're being forced to choose sides. And that's the biggest problem is we're being forced to choose sides. I am not a party system person. I hate the two party or any party system. I don't think that anyone needs to have a name with a designator D or R or L or whatever. I think that you put a name up on the ballot and that's going to force people to go and look up and find out who these people are without the party designator. I fucking hate that shit. Now I want to bring up something that was really cool. G was out there talking about Kennedy and Nixon. And there are a lot of people that will say that Kennedy won because of the debate. I wasn't alive back then, but in 1960 was the first debate that was televised. And Kennedy was the young, in shape, attractive. Nixon was the old guy who's sweating through his suit. I'll say this. I think that absolutely had something to do with it. I can tell you that because my dad told me it had absolutely something to do with people liking Kennedy. He looked young and vibrant versus the old guy who can't handle the fucking heat. But I've said this a lot of times before. Regardless of what you personally think out there of Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Teddy was great. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Say what you want to about what he did and how long he was in office. Regardless of what you think, he is still one of the greatest presidents this country's ever had. I don't think anyone would argue that. Franklin Roosevelt does not get elected today. The American people with social media and news and TV and cameras do not elect a man in a wheelchair. I truly don't believe that. So I think that the media side of things, going on the media is playing, it is pulling strings. It is dictating races. It is dictating agendas. It is even, there are a lot of people that at one time looked at Fox News as a conservative voice in media, which is kind of a joke, but it was more conservative maybe than others. After election night, I think there's a lot of people that have looked at Fox News as the betrayal of the conservative media. I don't know. I know that Clover says that in Texas they elected a man in a wheelchair. Yes, absolutely. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that had in 1930.
Yeah, back then, yeah, probably not.
Had there been social media and TV cameras, Roosevelt doesn't get elected, my friend. That's just me. So go ahead, Trav.
I think, if you're talking then, probably not.
I'm not talking Roosevelt now. I'm talking about Roosevelt in the 30s. Yeah.
Yeah. Just because they were so hung up on the optics of strength. They had to show strength, Now, you know, that's why I asked you in the internal if you meant now or then, because.
I didn't see that. I was on my soapbox, brother.
No, that's cool.
Yeah, I meant then. Yes, had there been social media and TV cameras back then, they don't elect Franklin Roosevelt as president. That's my opinion. I might be wrong.
Now it's a little different, especially how, you know, I don't want to say this oddly, but how they ended up in a wheelchair. You know, I mean, you see somebody like you know, Crenshaw down in Texas. I mean, it was like, you know, lost an eye for our country, and people are looking at that like, no, this guy's a stud, man. We got to get him in office. He's amazing. You know, something like that happens now. Somebody running for president. I don't think it hampers them at all. Not one bit.
Yeah. First, real
interesting. Real quick. So two things on that. What did he run for? Did he run for Dem or Republican?
Republican.
The
guy,
Crenshaw, he's a Republican.
Yeah. And he got elected.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And Abbott is governor, and he got elected.
Rural Texas.
Yes. So
I guess my point is, like, look, throughout the U.S. So Virginia, for example, it's super interesting. There's 90% of Virginia, and the little pockets of Virginia are very, very red.
Mm-hmm.
The Northern Virginia, D.C. area is very, very blue. Guess what one?
Right.
Blue. That's the first time in a long time. So
because that's where the population band is, correct?
Exactly. So the rural areas are very, very. They've got a pretty stronghold, and you can probably take that from state to state. But once you get to the populace, what matters, and what the technology and the social media and what matters, and where people are following, like I'm telling you, like it's twisted the whole, not twisted, but it's made people believe what they want to believe and what they're following. So the bottom line is that social media is changing powerfully and quickly.
Absolutely. Shout out to Black Cat Outdoors. Thank you so much, bro. $10. Once again, we're not asking for anyone to do super chats at all, but those that do, every dime goes to sending care package to the troops downrange. So once again, we've already sent over 120 or so care packages overseas. So every dime that you guys do, whatever the money that the 40% that YouTube takes from it, I match that. So thank you so much. All $10 of that will go towards care packages to our guys
Trey,
overseas.
Are you packing that up, or you got Risa?
No, I go through a couple different. I go through a couple different organizations.
Better than yours, bro.
What's that?
No, I said because Risa's care package has got to be much better.
Oh, damn straight. Oh, she would do it up right. No, I'm not doing it. You know me better than that. Risa's care packages would be the bomb. But no, I use several different companies. One of them is like Operation Gratitude, and it basically costs me anywhere from $12 to $15 per care package, and they do it and they send it overseas and all of that. So it takes it out with what they know, what they're getting in from the USO and from the DOD, what the guys and gals are needing over there. So they take this money, they send socks, or they send whatever they're asking for and needing. They take that money, and a couple of these are DOD. The ones I use about 3 of them, and they're all DOD approved, which means that for them to happen, they have to take less than 3% of the donations towards operation costs. So 97% or 98%, whatever it is, of the money is going towards the actual thing, not an administrative cost or whatever. So awesome. Yeah, I'm not personally boxing shit up. I'm donating the money and allowing them to do that.
No, awesome. Hey, message me after this. I'll join you. I'll get some corporate sponsorship behind that. Message me after
snap. This. I will. Yeah, and like I said, I started doing this back in December. We started talking about what can people do for guys overseas and downrange, and I said a care package. You remember? I remember when you're overseas and you're away for Christmas and Thanksgiving. Even if especially if it's from someone you don't know, getting something was awesome, and it didn't happen very often. And so that was a whole thing is sending stuff over there, especially from a complete stranger. It does mean something. to those guys over there. So
It
that's
gets
where it all
it
started.
gets you through it. It gets you through the deployment. And at the end of the day, let's be honest, 50% of these guys may not be receiving anything from any family members. So,
That's right.
anything we can get out to those guys, big high fives to you for that. So let me know. We'll support.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. All right. So Clover, Travis, anything that we want to bring up that we haven't first of all, this has been an amazing conversation. And we've been playing devil's advocate. We've touched on a lot of different subjects. And which I think is great because what it's all about is a conversation. We have to have these conversations, even though they may not be the prettiest ones to have. Having these conversations, especially right now, are extremely important because a lot of what's being talked about on the internet right now and social media is just bullshit. It's people trying to make their numbers bigger. It's trying to get more followers or subscribers, or it's all this fluff bullshit. No one's really talking about the fact that we have some serious fucking problems in our country, and who's going to take that torch. And I don't think we need to have one or two people taking the torch. I think we need about 300 fucking million people in America taking up individual torches and doing what they can personally do in their own community and work from the community side to the national side. If we make every fucking community stronger, then our nation gets stronger as a whole. So I want to talk about real quick, Travis, Clover, Corey. I want to start with Travis. Travis, is there anything that we haven't discussed that you wanted to talk about, or any points that you wanted to bring up?
Man, geez, I don't know. I mean, this is a pretty awesome conversation. A lot of back and forth, which is really cool. No, I think I just want to sort of stick a fork in. Use your voice, be heard. Don't be afraid to tell people what you think and what you believe. I think that's really important. I know, people worry about, their jobs. Sometimes they can't voice their opinions. They're afraid of repercussions, but do it as much as you can, because that's how you spread the message, Absolutely.
And once again, Travis was the one who originally came up or on the phone talking about, man, you should do a thing on patriotism and what Patriot is. And I was going to do it then, but I said, I want to wait till this political bullshit's over with, because I think that we'll get a better perspective looking at it now versus if we would have done it in December when all the crazy bullshit was going on. But thank you so much. It was a great conversation, Trav. So thanks for being the catalyst for that. We're going to talk about plugging your stuff real quick here in a minute. But Clover, anything that you want to bring up, or any the fact that that we haven't discussed anything?
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about social media and the power, and we talk about reaching people, I go back to the analogy, and obviously you and Corey can challenge me if I'm wrong here in this, but
I'm going to challenge you just because it's fun to challenge.
I see it as a battle. I see it as a war. I see it as a skirmish. And when you're out there on the battlefield, you don't take a set of chopsticks or nunchucks to, when they've got ICBMs. You know what I mean? And so the people that say, "Oh, I'm not using this platform, screw that guy or this guy or the whatever billionaire, screw him," and and I'm not doing it. I think that you're leaving those ICBMs you could pick up and use on the battlefield. It makes no sense to me. The people that have that. Now, do you have the right to do that? And is that your choice and whatever? Yes. I don't think it's the right one. But, I just say maybe look at it from a little different perspective that, yeah, okay, maybe I should learn how to use this platform to be as effective as possible. And maybe I need to be careful with not so much what I say, but how I say it, to be able to navigate said platform and reach people that I otherwise would not be reaching. Because here's the thing. I can sit out here and say stuff. Ghost can, Midnight can, all of the other great guys out there in the chat that's doing content, the big names on YouTube and Facebook and whatever podcasting platforms that can reach millions potentially of people or whatever, right? Mainstream media, that's all well and good. But the simple fact is, and feel free to go do the math, right? If you're a math nerd and you want to do this, but odds are definitely that you're out there. There's at least one person in this world that only you are able to reach, right? Only you have the commonalities, the vernacular, the way to talk to people that is going to reach that one person. And then here's the problem with this. If you don't reach that person, is how many people can that person reach? Because you may be able to only reach that one person. You may be on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, whatever, for 10 freaking years, and you've only reached one person. But you know what? That one person can reach 1 million or 10 million or 20 million, right?
That's right.
G-Webs always talks about something about no one drop thinks it's responsible for the flood or whatever. And it's that mentality. You never know. So being on as many places,
value your voice, man. Value your voice.
Definitely, without a doubt. And if you need help navigating and learning, and what can I get away with in policy, and how should I phrase things or do things, I'm here.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. CJ, anything that you want to touch on? We can go for as long as you want. We're not closing this down. It's just one of those things, but I'm trying to do this right now and say, is there anything that we haven't touched on that you think is relevant we should touch on?
Look, this could go on forever.
We could.
At the end of the day, I think we got to break it down and maybe do another one for some different conversation. But like what the previous gentleman, just Travis, I believe is his name. I think that what you just said is super powerful, but also like what people got to think about when they're expressing their voice is what they're expressing, right? They're not expressing just one side to exclude another side. Like what you got to express is like you got to find a middle ground, man. Like everyone can express their own side all day long, and all you're going to do is create boundaries and walls. What you got to do is create a middle ground. And the bottom line is what we've done and what the social media has done today is in today's society is like just created the biggest boundary, let alone like civil war. Let's talk about racism. Let's talk about like, I mean, all this other stuff, like all the statistics, like, look, I'm not, if a black person gets shot, it's all over the news. If a white person gets shot in the same venue, same approach, same whatever, you never hear about it. And if you look at statistics, like real raw FBI or police statistics, like it's overwhelmingly that white people are shot more, but like that's not on social media because that's not what people gravitate to, right? So you got to figure out you got to find that middle ground where what people gravitate to, then they'll hear you, but also what message you're trying to send, if that makes sense. And then it's all about that middle ground because you don't want to be too strong one way or the other unless society already thinks, but society right now is always one way or the other. And that's the biggest issue. We've got to figure out how to get it back in the middle at some point. Because once in the middle, man, we're all good. And look, we love all races. We love all societies. We love all Democrats, all Republicans. We can have constructive arguments. We can disagree to agree, and we can be neighbors. And that's what it was in the 80s. That's what it was in the 70s. Like, yeah. But besides racism, don't get me wrong, racism needs to evolve and it needs to get fixed. Trust me. But besides that, like, the left and the right stuff, it's just fucking social media is construed us so twistedly that everyone's just sucked in. So that's kind of all for now.
So there's a great story that you'll probably remember. You may not. It's been a long time ago, but I do remember when we had a staff sergeant that came in kind of right before we both, right before I got out and you went to MSG duty. Staff Sergeant Farr, and he ended up being a sergeant major. I talked to him every now and then on Facebook. But he was a black guy, and he came in. We had a couple black guys in the platoon, and they were like, we got ours, and he's in charge and all of that. And I remember him calling us after the first week he was there, and he called us into formation on Friday, getting ready to get us out of there for the weekend. And he said, I understand there's a lot of people saying that I'm racist towards white people and all that. And he goes, I am not racist. I hate all you motherfuckers the same. And that stuck with me to this very day. It's been 25 fucking years since that happened, but I remember that. I hate everyone the same, or I love everybody the same. And he saw green. Now there were other people in our platoon that did not see green. They saw something else they wanted to see. But he saw green, and I always remember that because I hate all you fuckers the same. But at least he was honest about saying, I'm looking at it what you do as an individual, not what your outward appearances look like. And we can take that into America. I'm looking at what you do as an individual, not whether you have an R or a D, or you're for guns, you're anti-gun, you're for abortion, you're anti-abortion, whatever it is. All of that stuff is just stuff. Ultimately, it comes down to, like you said, we need to get back and find a middle ground. And I'm not saying we need to compromise, because compromising is always, it's not always, but it could be a bad word. But I think that we have to at least be able to look at the other side. They look at us, we look at them, and we have to shake our heads and look at each other and say, yeah, we're all pretty fucked up right now. Our country is absolutely fractured. There's no doubt about it. We're fractured as a country. I don't know the answer, and I wish I did. And I love these conversations because maybe there are some answers out there. Maybe there is someone out there that's listening to this, even if they're listening to it a year from now, they find this chat and they're listening to a year ago that inspired to do something and becomes the next Malcolm X, or the next Martin Luther King Jr., or anyone that changes the world. And that's ultimately what it's about, is if you're going to be a patriot, okay, we're not talking about patriotism. If you're going to be a patriot and you're willing to sacrifice anything and everything for what you believe in, for the betterment of our country, not because it's your agenda, but it's for the betterment of our country. Whether we believe and we agree politically or not, I'll support you. Because right now, I've said this before, I'm sick and tired of, when it comes to political races, I'm sick and fucking tired of having to choose between the lesser of two goddamn evils. I'm sorry, but I'm tired of it. I'm waiting for my Kennedy. And I'm not saying that Kennedy's politics. I'm waiting for someone to stand up and say, in the next decade, we're going to fucking walk on the moon. We're going to fix race relations. We're going to fix this shit in the next decade, and then fucking do it. I'm waiting for someone to stand up and quit worrying about their next damn campaign or where their next campaign check's coming from. I want someone to say, you know what? I don't care if I get elected again or not. I'll be damned if I sit here and just go along with the ride, because that's what DC tells me to do, or that's what everything says that I should do as a newly elected representative. Go ahead, babe.
Trey, real quick.
Yeah.
Then you better run, brother, because guess what? All these motherfuckers are doing is jumping on the riding train, and they all are running left and they all running the right. And the bottom line is, yeah, look, the beauty and the unique thing about the Constitution and the government system is, like, these motherfuckers only get to go for so many years, and they can't go. Like, we're not going to be a socialist country. We're not going to be in socialism. So everyone calm the fuck down about that, because the government and the Constitution and everything that's set up, it doesn't allow it. I mean, it could allow it if people just keep going and going, but never in history. Look at the history. Nobody ever in history is. It's just never happened. So hopefully it doesn't continue, but you never know. I'm telling you, social media is fucking powerful. But the bottom line is, like, the government, how it's set up with the Constitution, it's amazing how it's lasted this long, to be honest with you, and how it's been so, like, genuinely powerful as far as, like, how we operate even today. But the bottom line is, it's got stopgaps, and it holds people accountable, and
checks and balances is a beautiful thing.
100%. It's huge. The checks and balances is huge. Good point. And it's like, you can go 4 years and get fucked over. You may go 8 years, but guess what? You're not going 12. And just everyone on here, look back in history. You can't find a scene or a scenario in history where it's gone that long to where something hasn't got balanced back out. So
Absolutely.
like on a positive note, that's great.
Yeah.
But also, like, we're all in a great country. We're all in an amazing place. But also, like, just be cautious and think for yourself. And at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I've said this before, and you've been, places, I've been to places. As bad as we think it is, on your worst day, you live like a fucking king in Mogadishu. Been there. I know what Mogadishu looks like. On your worst day, is as bad as you think your life is, and is the way that the government's got you down, they're holding you back. As bad as you think you are in this world, America is still the greatest country in the world, and the idea of America is still strong. You look at, someone brought up the Hong Kong protesters from last year. These are people that are trying to fight a government, socialistic communist government, for decades. What were they using as their symbol of freedom? The American flag. And if you don't believe in that flag, then we're not even having the same conversation. We're not even in the same fucking area code as you. No matter what you think and how bad it is, we are still the greatest country in the world, but the idea of America is still a beacon of hope to everyone else. Whether or not they fucking hate us or not, the idea of America is still strong. And that, to me, is the most important. So that shows me that there is a way out of this. And like Corey said, we have to be patient. We have to be vigilant. We have to be cautious. We have to be able to do all of that. But we have to understand that as bad as we think it is, it could be a lot fucking worse. Clover, you got a good point in the inner channel. I want to let you go ahead and talk about that. Go for it.
Oh, I'll put it out there in the live chat. But,
okay.
Yeah, it's like, we're on our laptops, our phones with our high-speed internet, electricity, running water. Most of us probably warm or cool, depending on where we're at. Probably food in the refrigerator. And we're on a podcast talking about freedom and liberty and patriotism. And it's like, how again is it just, are we totally screwed? And this is just some awesome, awful country that we live in, and the world is at an end. I don't get it. It was a beautiful day outside today too. Let me add that. So probably be another beautiful day tomorrow.
Even if it's -3 degrees, like it was literally a week ago with 21 inches of snow on the ground here in Arkansas, it was still a beautiful day.
Yeah, Clover must not be in Texas either, by the way. Clover
he's in Texas. Yeah, he's in Texas.
Where? We must be south, huh?
Bro, I'm in East Texas, and we're on a rural water system and an electric co-op, and we never lost power or water during this whole thing.
Awesome. Good.
So
man.
there you
I
go.
love
With now that being said, I had the generator and 20 gallons of gasoline on standby, along with water that was stored up, and I was ready to go. I was prepared, but thankfully was blessed and didn't need it.
Attaboy. And look, you probably had like I would say 45 to 55 new neighbors that you didn't really know, but now know you and like love.
Oh, dude, I live literally 20 minutes from nowhere, bro. So
he does.
No,
talk about the sticks. Yeah, his nearest neighbor is what, a quarter mile away.
Yeah, several hundred yards anyway. Yeah.
Hey, just a quick hit on that. Super interesting, because we have clients all over in Austin, Dallas, and San Antonio. But we were running goods, like cases. We rented U-Hauls with like hundreds of cases of water and disposal or food to get to the clients. We were delivering to houses because people just didn't know what to do. It was super interesting because we're used to chaotic situations, but different type of chaotic situations. And then we're thinking of Texas, the U.S., like They'll figure it out. Like, give me 24 hours to figure it out. But guess what? No, fuck no. 48, 72, 96 hours. They couldn't fucking figure it out. And we were delivering goods for 5 straight days, and helping people, under the radar, right? But the bottom line is that it was super interesting to see that in the U.S., especially in the big cities of the U.S. And it just goes to show, like, fucking prepare yourself, man. At the end of the day.
Yeah,
Yep.
I got a buddy of mine that lives, I don't know, he would about an hour and a half south of you, isn't he? Charlie.
Yeah.
He's a former SEAL sniper, and he was out of electricity for 3 days with only 4 inches or 5 inches of snow where he was at. But his electric co-op hadn't done anything cutting trees around lines. They weren't expecting even 3 or 4 or 5 inches of snow. So they were they were definitely out of power for 3. And I was talking to him last week, and he says, I never thought that my cold weather and survival training would have to fucking happen in the middle of Texas. And he was like, I moved to fucking Texas not to have to worry about that shit. So it is interesting, for sure. And I just got a text message.
That kind of an event. I've lived in Texas my whole life. I've lived pretty close to where I live now my whole life. And I've seen 2 or 3 times that it's been pretty bad. It's never been this bad, but it's been pretty doggone bad. Right. So,
sure.
To say that this was unprecedented and whatever. Okay. I mean, yeah, it was worse than we've seen. I mean, if you're going to put it on a scale, if you're going to put it on a scale, this was a 10, 1 to 10. This was a 10, and the closest anything else has come is probably an 8. But still, at some point, bad is bad. You know what I mean? And so it's like, if you're aware that things can happen and you're aware that the forecast says this is coming, then prepare. And you need to be prepared anyway. We get hurricanes that come up through here. We get thunderstorms and tornadoes that come through here. You need to be prepared regardless.
But you saw it on Facebook, right? Facebook is what showed you the way, and you relied on that.
Sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, hell. Yeah. Good Lord. It's interesting. Like you said, last week was definitely an anomaly. It's probably once every 25-year type thing. At least, for sure. I haven't seen 21 inches of snow and -3-degree weather in Arkansas. And I've only been here 18, 19 years, but people have said they've been here their whole lives and hadn't seen that. So it is something that it can happen. But does it happen all the time? No. But here's the thing, like Clover was saying, prepare. Whether that when you go to the store, we talked about prepping and all that. And being a prepper doesn't necessarily mean that you're a conspiracy theorist, that the Red Dawn shit hits the fan scenario is coming around. It's just being prepared. If you're going to buy a can of tomato soup or whatever, buy 2 of them, put one of them to the side and say, I'm going to keep this back here just in case. Mm-hmm. Just in case. You never know. And next thing you know, you've got 25 cans of soup. Well, guess what? 25 cans of soup can feed a family of 4 for a week if you do it right. Okay. So let's be real.
Trey,
so you don't have
this may sound evilistic, I really have no idea who the viewers are or who's listening, but I got to be careful a little bit here. But I honestly wish that this would rotate, like this would honestly rotate on a monthly basis, state to state. And not I want everyone to go through that, but I don't want anybody to die. Trust me, I don't mean that way. But like, I wish people would just understand what that concept was and what they had to go through and how they should be prepared. Because if you own a house or if you rent a house, guess what, man? You should just fucking have this here for you. Give yourself a chance. And I'm telling you, 98% of the population just fucking does not think that way and doesn't do that. And I'm not saying that they're bad for that, but honestly, if you rotated that around state to state, 50 states, man, there's 50 fucking states. That would take how many years? I don't know, fucking 5 years, for example, 4.5 years. But the bottom line is, like, that would be awesome in my opinion, and not in a bad way, as long as nobody died, but like, figure it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Clove.
No, I was going to say, yeah, if you did it for a week, lasted about a week, right? In 50 states, so 52 weeks in a year, so that's once a year. I'm thinking, can I go through this once a year? Yeah, wouldn't hurt my feelings. But again, I was blessed. I didn't have it nearly as bad as a lot of people, but I didn't have it nearly as bad as a lot of people because I was prepared. I wouldn't have anyway because I was prepared. So, yeah.
Yeah, and for the people that go to the grocery store on Sunday when they see that there's supposed to be snow on Tuesday and there's nothing there and they bitch about it. You shouldn't have to worry about that. Now, if you want milk or bread, cool. I get that. But if you're talking about surviving with food, you should have enough food in your house to last a month. At all times. At minimum to last a month.
You know how good canned ravioli is in a winter storm?
I just had some 2 days ago, bro. It is so good.
So I have not stepped on a scale in over a week because all this hit keto and watching what I eat went out the freaking window. You know, that is one thing. I mean, when all of this goes down, I mean, you eat what you eat. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we're not going to worry about that. You know, first world problems, right?
Yeah, well, and some people out there saying, I don't think the people in California would survive with canned food. And I know that's a joke. I get that.
They would learn.
You don't know what you could do to survive until you've actually had to survive.
What I don't get, somebody was complaining the other day, right? Facebook and a lot of the different buy-sell trade groups, right? Of all the generators that were for sale. And they're like, these people went out and bought generators, you know, only used for 3 days or, you know, whatever, you know, like brand new. And they want, you know, brand new prices for their used generator. And I'm like, what I don't understand about it is why would you buy a generator for this event and then turn around and sell it and not have the foresight to say, you know, I've already bought this. I'm going to keep it maintained. I'm going to put it up.
Now you don't think it could happen again?
If anything happens, like I said, tornado, hurricane, anything happens, guess what? I've already got it. I'm prepared. I'm good to go. It makes no sense.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Surviving, everybody has a different definition of survival, and that has something to do with your comfort of living. And that's cool.
That's true.
I get that. But people don't understand survival is survival. And if it means it, I hate tomatoes. I cannot stand them. I will eat the fuck out of tomato soup if it takes surviving. Don't give a shit.
Right.
That's awesome. I look, if we're ever on survival camp together, I can't wait to bring out tomatoes, brother.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I'll put it this way: if the apocalypse ever comes and we're having that survival mode where nature has just the day after tomorrow, whatever that movie was or whatever it's called, it's going to be interesting for the people that haven't been prepared, that haven't even thought about preparing, that have never thought about what survival actually means, how quickly they're going to be coming, hey, can you help me out? Help yourself out, bro. Help yourself out. I'm not saying go live like fucking Rambo. I'm not saying any of that, but a little bit, just a little bit of preparation. You know what? Instead of buying 1 case of water, buy 2. Cases of water cost fucking nothing. Put one off to the side. And every time you buy water, buy 2 cases, put one off to the side.
Well, and for me, and I know a lot of people may live in apartments, they whatever, I get it. But for me, I practice that with anything. I mean, you know I had a busted water pipe, right? Not because of the freeze, unfortunately, but self-inflicted. So I didn't have to go to the store to fix that. Why? Because if I go to the store to buy nuts or bolts or lumber, or I always buy more than I need, always, right? And I've got outbuildings and barns and things, and you know, I'll have 2 or 3 boards or a couple pieces of pipe or half a dozen fittings, and I always put that stuff up. And then if anything happens around here, of course, you know, when you live 20 minutes from nowhere, you learn to do that because you don't want to have to go back into town for something, right? If you didn't get enough. So that's a lot of why I do it. But I'll also have stuff here on hand in case something goes south and I can get it taken care of. At least get it patched, right?
At least, well, and that's the thing is survival doesn't mean have to be perfect and have to whatever. Survival is getting by.
Getting through it.
It's
Yeah.
getting by. Can you figure out what to do with a roll of fucking duct tape?
Right.
You give me
duct
tape and paracord, and I can probably get through a lot of shit. Just saying.
Guarantee
But yeah. G says Clover keeps a second house to use as parts for this first house.
Almost. Well, the
Probably
outbuildings I got and stuff, almost. Yeah. You don't know how true that is.
What's that over there? That's just Clover's old junker house that he uses for parts. No, don't mind that.
CJ, there's Zoe. Where's Seago at? We need to get Seago and Zoe to meet sometime, bro.
No, awesome. Can I turn on the live? How do I turn on the live cam?
Just hit your camera button at the bottom, and it should turn it on.
Cool. Let me put on my cowboy hat real quick.
Oh, hell yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
I like it.
Switch it around.
There he is. Hey, Seago.
Seago, dude. What are you doing? That's my sock.
So is he all black, or does he have
He's got
he
paws.
looks all black.
Yeah, he's got some brown paws. Down.
Yeah, I see that now.
You got brown socks.
Yeah, you got
Yeah.
brown
Well,
socks.
you sent me that video, was it last week and all of that, and man, beautiful. Year and a half, you said, or he's not even that. He's just over a year.
He'll be to June 28th.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Dude, he's a stud. It's awesome. It's super cool to go through this with him. They had him for 6 months, and he's now he's got a home, so he's very grateful, and he's showing it. So it's really cool, And
I don't want to rehash, as I know you loved him, but in comparison, were you around Zeus at the same age, or was Zeus older when you got him?
Oh, you mean Zeke? Sorry.
Zeke, yeah. Zeke, yeah. No, were you around Zeke at his age, or is it too late?
No, I had Zeke at eight weeks.
Wow.
But he was a pet. And so, so real quick rehash here. I had Zeke at 8 weeks. I moved to New York, or I got him while I was in New York at the UN, going to school and playing baseball. And then I got Zeke and down. And then we got, and then I got the canine job at the UN, which didn't include Zeke. I had to get my own new dog from the New York State Police, which was a black lab and was only explosive detection and no patrol or no bite, which is cool. But went through the whole 16 week course with them. And then I brought Abby home, and I had Zeke since he was 8 weeks, and now he was growing up with her. And then he was like, and I took her to work every day, and he was like, "What the fuck, bro? Like, taking her?" Like, he was super smart, super great dog. And he lived awesome. 14 and a half. Yeah. But German Shepherd.
Yeah. When we were in St. Louis, you had him doing some cool ass stuff in St. Louis. That's for sure.
Yeah. No. And I learned that from the training that I got with Abby, but the bottom line is German Shepherds are just I'm sorry. I love labs and I love all the other breeds, but they're just 10x smarter. They're very detail oriented. They okay. So for example, right now when I'm going through training and I got search starting tomorrow, but
oh, nice. Okay.
He's the only Shepherd in the class. The rest are Mals.
I'm going to say how many of them are Belgian? Yeah, a lot of them are Belgian Mals right now being utilized for that because they're maybe a little bit more athletic or slender.
Yeah, no, they're 100% more athletic and 100% more slender and 100% more fucking crazy, to be honest with you. The bottom line is I have a 6-year-old son that I want this guy to be cool with. And that's why I picked a German Shepherd because that's at the end of the day, I want him to still do what he does. And trust me, he does it just as well as the rest of them, if not better, but more methodical, which is super interesting because the mouths, like, okay, so we go into a building, we get to the door, and there's a long hallway, and there's 6 rooms on the left and 8 rooms on the right, and then there's a corridor down at the end in the middle. Like, all the mouths, every time from the whole get-go of the training, they'll fucking fly down all the way, haul ass down right down to the middle at the end, and then they'll turn around and they'll methodically search back. They don't sniff anything on the way, nothing.
Right.
The shepherd Seago, he
everything.
He does not haul ass anywhere. He goes about 50% speed and checks methodically every fucking door along the way. It's super interesting to see the difference. And he still bites hard as fuck. Don't get me wrong, but he's not like the crazy, super aggressive.
Yeah.
And I needed that because family wise, you know what I mean? So
right. Now, so let me ask you this: is I know you've been looking for a shepherd for a while, for a couple of years actually. And this is our first shepherd, obviously, and we love her to death, and smart as hell, stubborn as hell too, which kind of fits in perfectly with our family. Reese and I are a little stubborn each.
Trey, you want him to be a little stubborn, bro.
Exactly. Yeah. And I love her for that. But when you got Saigo, was the idea to be a family dog with some training, or a working dog that can be around the family?
100% your second point.
Okay.
And actually, it wasn't that could be around the family. It was hoping that it could be around my son.
Right. Right.
And I would have to, because at the end of the day, Trey, to be honest with you, 100% transparency, if he wasn't going to be able to operate around my son, I would have fucking kicked him to the curb.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's my son, right? So, and he gets it, and he learned.
Has he been around your son at all yet?
Oh yeah. I can send you some videos, and I will. But the bottom line is he's still a bull in a china shop because he's young. He's still only 18 months.
Right.
And he's still a little bit rough, but it's only play, and I can tell when it's play and not play, so it's good. Right. But he's still a little rough, and it scares my son a little bit. But like we do, I kick my son in the ass and say, "Toughen up, motherfucker." No, I'm just kidding. I don't really do that, guys. I don't really do that. No, my son loves them. They have a blast. I can send videos on here. They're best buddies at this point.
Well, the good thing is he knows when to be a puppy and when to be a fucking badass, and that's the great thing about it.
That's my point of the whole thing. That's what's the most amazing thing that I've learned over the last 4 weeks, as far as this process, is that how they can turn it on and turn it off is just unbelievable to me. Like, they are these are the best creatures in the world, man. And if anyone ever doubts that, call me, and I'm going to fucking come to your door and show you what they can do, because guess what? These guys are capable of everything. And guess what? Now what they're doing with these guys, not only sniffing cancer, they're sniffing COVID. And give me a fucking break, man. What else do you want out of these creatures? They're the best. Accept it. And train it and manage them properly, because they will be your best friend and your most loyal friend, and potentially not only save your life, but also just be cool around. Look at him now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see him still, but
we can
cameras on, but
yeah, we can see him. So a buddy of ours says
so what do you think about my let me get the hat in there. What do you think about my what's it called? Cracker Barrel hat that I got this morning.
I'm not gonna lie. I've known you for a long fucking time, and I've never fucking seen you in that shit before. This is what you fucking wear, bro. I don't know what the hell you're doing. I don't know if you lost the bet or what.
It's just for a few days, brother. It's just for a few days.
It's all good. No, I'm just joking with you. No, it's pretty sweet. I got a buddy out there that wants to know, are you at a professional dog school or one that regular dogs can attend? So I don't want to go into a whole lot because it's really not, but I want to say, Corey runs special operations for a contracting company. And so he has a lot of connections that he can probably get into the other. So I want to say that this is probably a professional dog training, not just an obedience school. Corey, what do you think? Is Is this specialized training, or can any dog get to this?
Nope. Yeah. So look, during COVID, and what every dog trainer has figured out is that they actually need to start training pet dogs as well. And not saying that this guy's dog is a pet dog, but the bottom line is that this guy he's worldly renowned. He's probably top 3 in the U.S. Write this down if you guys can't hear me or you can't record this, but the bottom line is it's Tar Heel training. Tar Heel Canine is what it is. Tar Heel Canine. And his name is Jerry Bradshaw. He's worldly renowned. He's amazing. They get these dogs straight from Europe. This guy's straight from Slovakia. I got a passport thicker than a passport that I've ever had for this dog. But the bottom line is they do pet training as well, and that's where you start, man. If you got a dog at home that it's not following, the commands, and it's hard to train, like they'll figure it out, but you got to do it the right way. And there's a process that you can follow, and these guys are great about that. So.
Yeah. With Zoe, she's 9 months old, getting ready to be 10 months old, a couple of days. It's one of those things where, for her, the one thing that drives Risa crazy, and so everyone, Corey knew us before we were married. So when I say that when Sky was born, I've talked about this. She's had 8 or 10 uncles immediately. He's one of the uncles. Okay. He was there. We got drunk as shit the night that Sky was born, on Sambuca and Goldschlager or some shit like that. Mm-hmm. But anyways, so Zoe mouths a lot when she's playing with Risa. She won't do that with me. She plays with her feet. She never bites, but she just mouths a lot with her teeth on her arm and on her and all that. She wants to play. Like I said, this is our first shepherd. She's 9 months old. I'm assuming that will she grow out of that, or do we need to start doing something? She won't do that shit with me, but with Risa, she mouths a lot.
Yeah, no, look, it's dominance. And the bottom line is he does not do that with me either, but he does that with my son. And he's trying to establish dominance. So
he already knows, she knows that I'm the alpha, and he knows that you're the alpha. He's trying to be the alpha with them.
Yeah. And he's going to try his best. He's going to try his ass off as far as he can. He's going to go as far as he can. Trust me. And then he may pretend like he's not, and then he may go back to it. That's what they do, man. Dogs are pack. It's all about a pack. You have to have a leader of the pack. And at the end of the day, as long as you have a leader of the pack that corrects them when they're wrong, like when he does that to her, Teresa, you got to say whatever your
I jump on. Or absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I might happen tonight. Like I'll do that. And she was mouthing, and I said, no. And she kind of stopped and looked at her and then kind of walked away. And she'd come back, and I say, she'll have to continuously do it. But she does know. She does get it. It's Risa, and Risa. Risa's just waiting for the day that she doesn't do that shit anymore because she's going crazy.
No, 100%. No, she'll get it. And look, just it's repetition, right? And keep it going. And then but also a key point, what I've learned at this training is that, like, don't let Risa do it yet. Like, make sure that your dog is doing it on your command first, and not hers, because then they're going to get really confused and it's going to slow down the process. So let your dog get your command first, and make sure it happens, and then actually every once in a while reward her for doing it with her favorite toy.
Absolutely.
Is it a female or male, bro?
She's female, 9 month old.
Good, dude. My boy is horny as fuck. So let's.
Unfortunately, if I would have known, we had her fixed. We had her fixed a month or two ago. So she can't. She's done. Yeah, right.
I want to make people uncomfortable here.
Shit. All right.
Well, awesome. But no, look. The bottom line is, like, make sure that your dog's following your commands first, and then don't let because Noah, when I first brought him back, I told Noah about his commands and stuff. I was just telling him about them, but then he naturally just wanted to start saying them. I'm like, no, shut up, dude. You're confusing him. Like, stop, bro, stop. Because he's like, Seago was like, what, you know what? So bottom line is like, let it come from one command first, and if he or she does it, then reward him. The bottom line is these dogs are all about play and all about toy. And if you find that right, what's his favorite? What's her favorite toy?
She's got a little rubber pacifier she loves to play fetch with. Just loves the pacifier.
Yeah.
Those little squeaky ones.
Grab one of these. Trey, grab one of these. You can get it at do you see it?
Oh yeah. We've got something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, something similar to this, and that way you can hold. So I hold on to this, and I hold it to my left side or whatever, your hillside, whatever you want to do, and you hold it out, and you just hold on to it. So he runs after it and leeches onto it, but you hold on to it when he grabs it, and don't let go, and just keep pulling and tugging with him. Dude, the drive just goes nuts. It's all about the drive for that toy. And
no
then
doubt.
Once you get that drive for that toy, you will be able to tell them to do whatever the fuck you want, man. And then once that's accomplished, then start with Risa or like in my circumstance, Noah, because Noah loves to give him commands and like thinks he's boss and like he's I'm like, no, yeah, okay, good job, go ahead, but it confuses him, to be honest. At the end of the day, it confuses the dog tremendously, and you don't want that. You don't want the confusion. So let it be one alpha, and then also make sure that dog does not try to dominate Risa or my son, for example. That's what it's all about. So, and we'll talk more offline, because I've learned a lot about this in the last 4 weeks. So talk more offline, but
absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. I got so we were looking to have last year, Will Chesney. He was a canine handler with Dev Group on the Bin Laden raid. And he was talking about Cairo, which is his ship, or actually he was a Belgian, but his and all that. And he said about the training thing, which was really interesting to me. And I never really put that in perspective with a working dog, is all the training that he had to that dog. There's no separation between training and real life. It's all real. They don't separate that this is only training. It's not just practice. Everything for them is real. And so there is no training.
Did we lose him?
I think so. Who is that? There he is.
There he is. There he is.
How you guys doing, man? Hey, great conversation tonight. First time I've been involved, and appreciate the welcomeness. Is awesome.
Oh, it's a load of fun, man. Yeah, Ghost does a good show always. If he's talking about training, he should probably train himself to use his computer right, and he could be here for his whole show.
Fucking A. And let's tell him that. Let's write his ass. As soon as he gets on, let's get his ass on that.
He's just spinning there. I don't know. He might be lost and gone forever.
Where are you guys at?
Physically? I'm in PA.
Oh,
I'm in PA.
Okay, cool. Where in PA? Like, because I'm close. I mean, I'm in Rockville. I mean, not now. I'm in Rockville, Maryland normally, but I'm down in North Carolina for this training. And look, this is the first cowboy hat I've ever had, to be honest.
There you go.
I fucking threw it on, but from Cracker Barrel, they sold it, and I bought it, and I loved it. But where in PA,
nice.
Bro?
I'm in Central PA.
Okay, nice. Okay.
I actually have a buddy that I worked with for a little while, who was in the Navy, and his father, he's from New York. His dad used to raise Malinois, and then I guess he used to breed them, and then the government would buy them. He used to deal with them all the time. He was always talked about how cool it was to see him come up as pups. You
guys hear me okay?
For sure.
Yep.
Wow, I had to go on my phone. Something just my laptop, I guess, had to it updated, and it just fucking shut down like out of the middle of nowhere.
I've had that happen too, man.
You got fucking sniped, bro. Sniper.
I got fucking sniper, bro. Yeah, man. Fuck yeah.
Nice. No, No, I was just chatting with. So you got some mouths that is it still going on?
I don't know. It was. I haven't talked to him in quite a while. It was his dad. I don't know. I should text him and find out if he's still doing it. Ghost would probably be interested in it. He's I don't know how long he used to keep him, and I don't know what training he used to do. I just know that they bred him and raised him for a certain amount of time, and then I guess it was like I don't know if it was a government contract or what, but basically he kept him for so long, and then they went on to a facility that would train him for the military.
Yep. No, it's awesome. These things are amazing, and look, the group that I'm with now here in North Carolina, they import all these guys, and they'll come in flights into Dulles from Europe, and with passports and all this other crazy shit. I was like, my God, like I got this dog with a passport that's like, and I've traveled a lot, luckily or thankfully or whatever you want to phrase it, but like,
Right.
but dog is like, it's super interesting and amazing that this is how it's evolved because, back in 2004, I went through the New York State Police training with K9 and with a lab and only single purpose, which is bomb, explosive scent, and no bite, no tracking. But this guy, he's a fucking tracking bomb bite beast, and it's just insane how good they are at each one of those levels and how they turn it on so quickly and are able to it's to be honest with you, just to give you a sense of light of this. So he's got two colors on, not right now because I took them all off for him for the night, but he's got two colors on. One of them is a flat color. The flat color is a bite color, basically. So he knows when I click it on that, or he knows when I click it on the pinch color, which is a tracking, so I can make his nose go down, or that's when you put the hook on the bottom, or if it's a detection, which is bomb, or explosive scent, you put it on top. But he's still, that way you can control the searches. You point to left and right or up and down. So it's super interesting, man. Look, I'm basically at the end of the day, I'm just amazed at what the capabilities are with these guys.
So there's a story I want to tell, but there's also a question on the chat that I'll bring up later. But last summer I had Will Chesney, and Will was a K9 handler for Dev Grew on the Bin Laden raid, and he had Cairo. I don't know if you're familiar with who Cairo, the Belgian. Anyways, he was talking about when he was going through his handling training and getting with Cairo. The cool thing about what he said is they don't understand what's training. We know what's training and what's real. To them, everything's real. They don't decipher what is training, what's practice, and what's real. Everything to them is real, and that's why they're always on. It's kind of a cool, interesting concept where when we go to a workup or we train, we know that we're going to the range and we're training. We know it's not real. The dogs, they think everything's real. But on the flip side, when he put on that vest, he knew it was time to work. But when he took that vest off and he brought him home, he knew he could be a puppy. And that's a cool thing, is that they're smart enough to know the difference between combat shit and home life, and that's kind of cool. They're smart as shit. There is a question out there, and I think you might have covered it earlier, Corey. From the time that he started training, whether without you, I think you said they trained him for 6 months, and then you have to be there with a month for him. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct for the current setup of the organization that I'm going through right now.
So they had them for 6 months doing their thing, and then you had basically an indoctrination the last month with him to learn the commands, to bond and all of that, and then you take him home. Is that correct? Oh, he dropped out. He'll come back. But I think it was 6 months, and he'll come back in a second. But 6 months training away from him, and then a month with him. And when he comes back, I'll ask him what comes next. But this has turned into a completely different chat, and it's great. I hope everyone's enjoying this. I hope so. If not, Corey's. I love that guy. He was my best friend in the Marine Corps, and all that. So he's going to be on the podcast when he gets back from Carolina. So we'll get to hear some of his stories. He's got a crazy, crazy background, done some really cool stuff. So what we're going to do at this point and wait till Corey gets back. We're going to go ahead and maybe start letting Travis. He said he just texted me, said, I lost you. Hold on. Maybe he can come back in. All right. He just send me the link again. Hold on just a second here. So let me, how do I do this? How do I get I'm on my phone now, so I'm trying to figure out how to get this link. Shoot. Hold on just a second.
How about you could put it in the chat and he could just click it in the chat.
That's true. Hold on just a second. Yeah, I might.
And then delete it, you know?
Yeah, I might have to do that. Stand by for a second, okay? Hold on.
Well, that wasn't good.
Yeah, he went AWOL too.
Well, fine then.
Of course, I can.
Oh, there. I can throw it in there myself.
Of course, I kick myself out by doing that. But post a comment and go ahead and put this. Well, shit. Here we go. There we go. I think that might have done it. There we go. Corey, it's in the chat out there if you're still listening or whatever. While he's coming in, Travis, you want to go ahead and start plugging some of your what you got going on right now?
I don't have a whole lot going on. Sunday nights, 10:30 Eastern. I think most of the people, almost everybody that's been in the chat knows I do a show, but it's food, guns, and nonsense. Just having a good time. So come and check it out.
Awesome. Clove, you got anything coming up? I know that you don't do anything, but if you were to do something, what could we expect to see from you?
Hey, I actually released the video today on time.
You did. I saw that.
Yeah. So top 5 1911 handguns I wish I owned. So if you want to look at some cool 1911s, if you're, a geriatric, then jump over there and check that out.
There you go. For us, we've got the latest episode of the Jarhead podcast coming out Thursday. If you're a patron or a channel member, you've already had access for about a week. But Ron Holmes was a good friend of ours, 20-year Force Recon, MARSOC, whatever you want to call it, Marine. Amazing story, cool, fun stories to think about, talk about. He did some incredible things. Now he's an entrepreneur and all of that. So that'll be released publicly on Thursday. Like I said, I'm recording a podcast tomorrow night with Charlie Melton, who is Navy SEAL sniper for 20 plus years, was Sailor of the Year in the SEAL teams, with all SEAL teams, which is incredible. He was also a sniper instructor. He was Chris Kyle and Marcus Luttrell's sniper instructor. So there'll be some cool stories about that as well. Like I said, we got a bunch of stuff, and hopefully Corey comes in. There he is. Let's let him in. There you are, brother. Can you hear me? You're muted. CJ, you're muted if you're trying to talk. I don't know if you can hear me. Not sure. All right. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There he is. CJ, you hear me? Can't hear a damn thing he's saying. Maybe it's just me. All right. So, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get out of here, and we're going to probably stay on the after chat and talk a little bit. If you guys want to join the after chat, and I know who you are, the link's been out there. So we're going to stay in the after chat and talk a little bit. But thanks for watching. Make sure if you're out there and you're listening in podcast form or replay, utilize the comment section below. And the conversation has to end now. If you're here and you're here for 2.5 hours,
We went down a lot of rabbit holes. A great discussion. Thanks to Travis, to Clover, and my boy CJ for coming on. We'll talk to you guys soon. Semper Fi.